All right, greetings. Sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. This is Body Culinary, aka Kwasapeacefull Eating, and I'm so excited to be here today. We're going to have an interview. Yeah, we're having an interview today, and today we're going to be speaking with um, one of our sisters in Brazil, in Bahia, one of my favorite places, and we're going to be talking about therapeutic lifestyle practices, right? What are the different things that we are doing to keep ourselves enlivened, not just to survive, but how are we thriving during these times? So, get yourself some water or some tea or your kombucha or whatever it is that you're drinking. Shout out to my folks that are over there on YouTube. Shout out to my folks over on Instagram. Yes, and we're waiting for and Maat or educator and kinetic yoga instructor Louisa. Yes, Ana Luisa Wajet. She's going to be coming in. Good morning, Veronica. Or good afternoon. Now it's afternoon. So depending on what part of the world you're in Brazil, it is 3 o'clock. In Belize, it is 12 o'clock. In Nueva York, Eastern Standard Time, it's 1 o'clock. Greetings, Queen Joanna. So we're just waiting for Emma. So let me know, can you hear me clearly? Just give me like a thumbs up or a little star if you can hear me clearly, and make sure they hear the sound is pretty good over here, because sometimes this international Wi-Fi can be kind of spotty, and quite often I'm just moving in the spirit because I have lots to do and we get up early and we have so much on the schedule. So, oh, okay, fantastic. Yes, so you can hear if you're out there in YouTube land. Just give me a holler and let me know. You may not be able to see Auntie Emma or Ana Luisa, but you may be able to hear, and we'll have this also on the replay, or you can go on over to Body Culinary on Instagram. So for those of you that don't know, or those of you that come along on a journey, or some people say follow, I'm Body Culinary, aka Kwasa Peaceful Eating, personal trainer, professional chef, and been in food, natural eating, a healthy lifestyle, and fitness for over 35 years. And I love my age. I look forward to maturing and being seasoned gracefully, right? I want to enjoy my time in my human suit. Um, I would say as I'm approaching, but I forget my age. I'm on the other half of 50. We're not supposed to say that, but I am. And I think we deserve to feel comfortable in our own hair and skin. Shout out to the artist. I am B Soleil. Oh, another capoeirista. Yes, Veronica and Delio. Yes, sending you all some warm, positive vibrations from Belize. So we're waiting for our sister over there in Bahia. So yes, I look forward to enjoying my time in my human suit, right? Even as, yes, people ask, do I have grays? There's a couple of grays in there. There are grays in it, and I'm celebrating it. Shout out to you. Everybody's welcome here. But I like to encourage folks to really celebrate your natural bodies. We're in another time today where I feel like a lot of us feel pressure to alter ourselves, and sometimes can be dangerous. For my young flowers out there, sometimes we're making decisions in our 20s that will alter the trajectory of our lives, like permanently, and possibly other people. And so my grandma Lou, I talk about grandma Lou all the time. She said, stay busy and you stay out of trouble. So I like to stay active and engaged. And I want to share several of my leverage lifestyle practices. And I say that they are leverage. Greetings, Indy. Oh, my Dominican sister. Yes, I see my request. Yes, here she is. Here's Ana Luisa. Hopefully she'll come in. So I just sent you the confirmation so you can come in. So shout out to my Dominican New York massive. Yes! Yay! Oi, Preta! Yes, honey. Yes. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yes, I'm so happy. I was rushing from the market with my sister. I said, listen, grab your broccoli and your callaloo because I got to go, honey. I have a meeting. I have a hot date. Oh, this is one of my besties, Kati Jana. Some of
I
my
can
favorite
see
people.
you.
Can you not see me? Maybe you need to turn on the
No.
camera. I can see you clear. I can see you crystal clear. Hopefully it's not the signal now. I think you have a reverse, but I can see you crystal clear on my side. I know YouTube they can't see, but on Instagram I can see you crystal clear. Now I see your avatar. I see your avatar. So you know how we do with this international Wi-Fi, but I can see you and I can see the Berenbow in the back, and I'm so excited. One of my professores is on the
Wait.
line, the artist B Soleil, because I really value my teachers. Oh, did she pop out for a second? Maybe she'll go out and come back in. So today, again, welcome. This is Body Culinary, aka Kwasa Peaceful Eating, and today we are connecting to have an international connection, conversation, and communication about therapeutic lifestyle practices. Let's see if we can get Ana Luisa in here again. Okay. So we're looking to leverage the internet. Hopefully you're curating the internet. So when you come away from your interactions on the internet, you're left with some deposits. Okay. Can you hear me now? Can you see
I
me?
can hear you, but I cannot see your
Oh
beautiful
my
black
gosh.
face.
You're gonna have to catch the replay of your own because I can see your beautiful face. So sometimes international Wi-Fi is kind of wonky. So maybe on a replay I can see you crystal clear over here, which I'm so thrilled about. So today we're connecting about internationally, right? Because I have a vision in my mind. I have a vision. I have a vision. I've had it for a long time. And I have a vision. Everybody has a vision. I have a vision that has been growing for I don't know how many decades of having like my friends to play with. And so anything having to do with fruits and vegetables, movement, um, the garden, that's me all day. And so I always envision having my friends along to play capoeira, African dance, fitness, to play in food, to play in the kitchen, to play in the garden. And my vision is to see at least a minimum of a million, but several million women internationally in the garden together, making beautiful,
I
healthy
share.
food together, singing songs together with the Baron Bow. Oh my gosh. I'm not no Shaka Khan, I'm not going to get any awards, but I love to sing. And I really love ancestral movement and ancestral sound. There's certain drum beats or whatever that just send me somewhere. So today we have Ana Luisa Wajet. She's a comedic yoga instructor and an educator. Tell us, introduce yourself.
I'm shy.
Oh, I'm the artist B Soleil, one of my professores in capoeira, and she's also a fantastic artist. She says she can see both of us, so that's fantastic. We can see you. Please tell us something about yourself.
So unfortunately, I cannot see you. I can only hear you. But okay, I will close my eyes and I will imagine your beautiful face right in front of me. So,
Uh oh, come on, signal.
Bahia, Reconnect, dia, what is that? And I am speaking very place. A lot of Black history here in this region of Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
and specifically inside Bahia, we have this region called Recôncavo, which is a very spiritual and strong and ancestral um, uh, region. So, what else?
Yeah, so I just want to say, like, it's so interesting what drew me to you and your page. It's not often that will go live with folks, but I saw you practicing comedic yoga in your garden, and I was like, ooh, that drew my interest. And then I saw you trimming the banana trees. I was like, ooh. And then I saw you composting. I said, man, sister after my own heart. Dang. And then I saw you playing the berimbau by the water. And
Mhm.
so I saved that image and I would replay it because it's very inspirational. It's very inspirational to me to hear, like, especially when I find women that play instruments and that sing or that have an ancestral practice. I'm a music lover. But to see uh, women expressing themselves and how would I want to say it? Not just expressing themselves, but in particular using music, using sound, using our own voices, and using movement as a way to transmute energy, if you will, right? To make yourself feel better, basically. And just seeing that vision of you, and especially, I thought it was even more precious that you were in your garden doing comedic yoga. That like it's one of my best images that I have saved in my favorites, and that really drew me to your page. So I reached out to you and said, "Listen, let's have tea. I want to have tea and garden party." So I said, "Let me reach out to the sister to have some tea, and see what we would chat about in the garden in terms of your practice." I'm eager to know about how you started and became interested in comedic yoga in Brazil, and also how you came across the berimbau.
Okay. So first of all, let me say you that I think that Black women, African women, have this connection, this energetic and spiritual connection, and I think that everything that happens through uh, our spirit guards, our orishas, our voduns, our inkisis, our ancestors. So the same feeling you had when you saw my profile, I had when I saw yours. So it's so wonderful for me uh, to be connected with other wombs, with other Black women around the world. So it's very special, and I feel very honored. And I want to give thanks for the ancestors. I want to give thanks for all your ancestors, all your lineage. I want to pay homage to your ancestors, as well as for mine, as well as for the ancestors for the whole community of Black people around the world. Um, about kinetic yoga, I've been practicing kinetic yoga uh, around 10 years.
Oh wow!
And yes, but in the first moment, we started doing for ourselves because there was this movement, grassroots movement in the place where I was born. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, is another state. Today I live in Bahia, but I was born and raised in Rio de Janeiro. And there was this movement of Black people studying about the origins, studying about history, studying about philosophy, studying about culture, spirituality. And we used to reunite to organize politically uh, for the improvement of the community. So we used to do like meetings, like lectures, like how can I say reunions?
Reunion, that's the spirit. That makes sense.
Is that a word?
Yes, reunion is a word.
Okay, so we used to join together to study about Black culture, African culture. And we started to look for ancient times, for the beginning of the civilization, and following the steps of the elders that were talking about that decades before us, all around the globe, not only United States, not only in Africa, but here in Brazil too. We had like a great thinker. His name is Abdias de Nascimento. And so many others was talking about Kemet or ancient Egypt as a source of like ancestral. We started looking for that, started studying about it, and then researching. And in this global era, we found about Mexico yoga and about the work of Messi Hafafek, this brother from Chicago. And then we started to organize so we could bring him to Brazil so we could get trained, get more deep into the practice. And then when 2019, actually 2019 certification, and I got the diploma, like the certification for me to be able to give classes. And something that it was very nice is that here in Brazil, Connect Yoga came together with capoeira. So many capoeiras, many people who play capoeira, many people who are capoeira engaged in Connect Yoga. And there is connection between African body practice. And that's it.
Wow, it's so interesting because we're actually some generations apart. And so like my heart is so touched as I think about Kemetic and Kemetic yoga. My last name is Kepera, which is Kemetic. And just to see the next generations coming up behind me, right? One of my sisters that's on here, she's one of my homies from back in the day. I don't know if it's like 30 something years ago, right? Because when we were first having babies, and it's like another resurgence of culture. We didn't call it the conscious community, which is what it's called sometimes today, but it was just a cultural community. So I remember celebrating Kwanzaa 30 something years ago. Oh my gosh, 30 something years ago. I have a picture of me with my belly is big with my son at my first Kwanzaa. And it was a gigantic, when I say a gigantic Kanara, And I used to take African dance class. My godparents have a dance company called Forces of Nature. Shout out to Abdel Salam and Olabamadele Hart or Shamsut and Samsut. Uh, they had Kwanzaa. And so I kept coming to this African dance class and I started hanging around and trying to hang on to every word of what were they eating, what were they drinking, what were they saying, who their friends, what were they talking about. They had massive bookshelves. So I was looking on their bookshelves, and if they had a book, I went to find those books because I was looking for something back then. And they introduced me to Kemet. They had so many different teachers that were around this dance company, people playing the djembe, the drums, the shekere, all kinds of instruments, right? I remember my godfather did a whole collaboration with him with capoeira, right? So all of this stuff comes full circle. And then my son's dad also introduced me to capoeira. I was totally scared. Work out this is, but I'm never coming back. And again, this is 30 something years ago because it was so intense. I wasn't sure what it was, but he loves my son's dad plays capoeira. And it was all of these people in the village. Master Gio Grande was giving class back then. I was like, who's this old black guy with the cap? You know, he had a little cap like a Kengo tilted to the side and these instruments. I didn't know what the berimbau was, but the workout scared me off. I didn't know what the workout was. But I've come all the way full circle back to capoeira because of the music, because of the song, because there's something about ancestral movement that has so much built into it. It has community built in. It has live instruments and song, and then it also has a very playful element, which is different than working out in the gym, right? Okay, the gym is nice. Everybody has their headphones on in their own little world, but there's something that feeds me, that feeds my soul. Where I feel like I can bust open in my body when I'm dancing or doing movement, and I hear drums and everything. My spirit could bust open and I would not care. I feel totally happy, joyous, and fulfilled. And that the community part of singing with people, The clapping, the instruments, it feeds my soul in a way that nothing else does. So I cannot say enough thanks to my godparents for introducing me to African dance, to the drum. It has never gone anywhere with all the different drama that's happening. That is at my foundation. And so to see other women just as passionate in other parts of the world, it says something. So I'm so grateful to see your reflection and to see you humbly practicing in your garden, because I do the same thing in my garden. Anywhere that I ever live, I will always have a place to play and to do dance and to do movement. I must sing. Like these are what I call therapeutic lifestyle practices. So, do you have, would you say in Brazil, you have friends that you practice with?
And I think that.
Do you have friends that you practice with in Brazil?
Yes. We have we have a whole community here, and this is the most therapeutic experience as I can see, as far as I can see. As we've been talking about many things, and when you make this movement, going out of the big cities, going out of the big urban cities, and you get connected to the land, and you get connected to the roots, and you get connected to this activity, which is one of the oldest activities of the civilization, which is taking care of the soil, which is feeding the soil, planting, growing. You get a whole another cosmo perception, and this is something very common that I hear lots of black women talking about how they connect with their gardens, how they feel. So I am sure that you will agree with me when you can be in any mood. You can be mad, you can be sad, you can be confused. You can be feeling anything, but when you go to the land, when you go to the soil, when you change energy with the with your plants, when you take care of your plants, when you think about growing what you're gonna eat, you can transform any energy, and that's the movement, life movement that I've been doing as just like you. And I think that this is the way it should be.
It feels so natural. It's just what you said. When I put my hands, I have what I call a garden manicure, and everybody's getting their nails done, but I don't know how I could have long. So I'm usually using my nails to dig out to put a seed. Sometimes I show off the dirt in my nails, and I call it a garden manicure, because I have things to look, to get done. I want to look cute, but I need to look cute and be functional in the garden. I'm going from my movement practice to the garden to jumping on my bicycle to the market. So I don't know, that works for me. I would actually say I prioritize. I don't think that I don't make makeup wrong. I used to have a Jerry curl and a gold tooth. I used to have a gold and a Jerry curl, a chemical curl, right? I don't think any of those things are necessarily wrong. Though when I look at what my priorities are, my priority is feeling comfortable in my skin without makeup. One, because it's functional. I don't see how I can get a lot done if the way that I wear my hair and everything, if it's not functional, right? I like looking good just as much as the next person, but I'm sweating a lot of times, and I'm in the garden, and that it feels so good. It feels so alive. I feel like I wish more women knew how therapeutic it is to have a garden. Some people say, "Oh, I don't have the space." Listen, I was in cold New York City growing food in my apartment because something said to me, nobody's going to tell me I can't grow food. So I've been growing food in stockings, little stock like pantyhose, in little bags. One of my first gardens here where I'm at now was inside old animal feed bags. I was growing loads of kale. So if you're looking for excuses to not do something, you can find something. But I was just very determined to grow
Yes.
food. So sprouts, baby lettuces, all in the front of my living room amidst my exercise equipment. I was growing plants. I can't tell people to do it legally on my fire escape, the roof, and then community gardens because intuitively it feels like I feel so much peace. I feel peace
Yes.
in the garden that nothing else gives me other than movement and song and the garden. So I would say those are the pillars, and I think that is something that's missing. Right, therapy is more popular now, right, in this age, especially during the so-called panoramic. But I think, and I thought about this for years. I think that something
Mhm.
is. I think we are being offered medication for something that ideally would be taken care of amongst community, right? If you had a safe space of mature, safe elders or women to speak to literally rest your head on their lap and tell your troubles and not trauma bonding, but you had a safe space. So it's like you're being given a pill for something that community would take care of, if that makes sense, right? And I don't think there's enough
Mhm.
makeup palettes and wigs and weaves, and there's nothing wrong with adorning ourselves. I think that's very natural, but something is missing. You can see that something, you can feel if you're paying attention, something is missing. We have more stuff and more shoes and clothes than we can ever wear, but
Yes.
somehow something is still feels empty. I don't know if you can relate.
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you think? What
Yeah.
are your
And I
thoughts?
think that I like to hear your story. I like to hear what you say because to me it feels like is your intuition that is very connected to your nature, because our nature is connected to the whole nature. So when you feel, when you have the sensibility to feel that you need to be in connection with the soil, in connection with the sun, in connection with the plants. When you feel that inside, to me it means that you are very connected to your own intuition and to the way the ancestors did. Because if we back maybe one generation, for myself, for my example, my grandmother lived 105 years. So if I back one generation, only one generation, everybody were like planting their food, everybody had backyards, everybody had connection with the spring water. And then it became little by little, this connection was being lost,
Mm.
And in this generation and generation below is down or is
Mhm.
people are not connected at all. They live a life very artificial,
Mm.
And
Mm.
I agree with you. I think that nobody knows what's best for you than your own self. But I think that we should allow uh, to know ourselves deeper, because women are being uh, foolish to think that they need stuff that they don't really need. And one thing that we should focus on is on health. Our health is much more important than everything. So, for us to plant our own food,
Mm.
for us to be connected with our skin clean, not full of stuff, full of makeup. Okay, if you like, I respect, everyone can live their own life, but do you really need that? Or you are being like foolish to believe that you need that, you
Mhm.
know? So when you tell me a story, I feel like you are a very wise woman because you are connected with the voice, that tells you what you really need. So that's why I want to go to Belize to meet you one day.
Yeah, to come with me and have tea inside the garden. You know, it's interesting. I used to have someone used to tell me, say, "You're so sensitive. You're so sensitive." And I said, one day I thought, I said, "Am I sensitive or are you numb? Am I super sensitive or you numb and you can't feel?" You know, she's like, "You too sensitive." I'm like, if you really thought and you felt, I told her one time, one of my friends, I said, I think you would cry. If you felt, if you really tuned in, you pay attention, you wasn't like, it's not a big deal. I said, I think you would cry. So I feel like we have like a crust. We've got like a crust over our heart because I don't see how it just doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of these things come to me, and when I'm moving early in the morning, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and also in the quiet of the morning, and also when I'm in the garden, right? Your thoughts get really, really clear inside the garden. I don't understand how we could mistreat each other and mistreat ourselves. It's like to the degree it just doesn't make sense. Also think of how, as a species, right? As a species, and if we just keep it real, keep it a buck, as they say. As women, with all of this technology and common sense and education, how we could put ourselves in harm's way. And I'm going to say it because we have other flowers that have nieces and stuff. How we put our reproductive organs in harm's way. It doesn't make sense. I don't see how, like, we're glorifying, like, if I listen to a lot of the music, it sounds so violent. I couldn't see myself romantically attracted to something that is so violent. It feels so off that it makes me want to run to the garden. It's like, how are you getting stimulated by music that is the music, the lyrics are very violent to women, right? It doesn't feel right. So, I'm a lover of music. But a lot of it a long time ago, I can't listen to it. I can't, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't compute. So I'm like, do we have so many people are desensitized? Like it doesn't compute if I really think about it. It makes my heart flutter. I'm like, does anybody see a problem with this? Years ago, when Mr. So and so or so and so Kelly, I remember I paid full price for his CDs back in the day, probably $20 or something like that for his CDs. And I remember when information was come years ago, decades ago, came out, and it was said, he had some kind of whatever indiscriminate interaction with a young lady. I was like, dang, I paid full price for this, but I was like, I can't. I threw it in the garbage, and I didn't understand why the radio stations, why women weren't boycotting the radio stations. I couldn't understand, like, how we allow ourselves to be misled. And there is something to it because no one does something without a reason. But it's like, it feels like nobody's home. Just by the very fact that we put ourselves in harm's way, like, to people that are just mean. How do you let mean people into your womb? So I think I say a lot, it's the music and the food. The music and the food, I consider them instructions. Music is instructions. Food is literally DNA. It's instructions. So I figured out what I'm ingesting. When I started thinking like that, and maybe this is just the way I think, I started thinking like, and I used to be a junk food junkie, and I come from a family of morbid obesity, diabetes, heart disease. That's the trajectory that I would be on, right? I started looking at things. I said, oh my gosh, those potato chips and things that I like. I started thinking like, oh my gosh, it's not food. Because I eat bag after bag after bag, 8 bags of potato chips. They used to be 25 cents. I realized I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get full. Eureka, it's not real food. So I remember once as a young woman, I went and got a potato, a white potato, and put some seeds. Oh, I feel full. This is not real food that I'm eating. So I feel like I think very simple, and maybe like my grandma Lou, but it doesn't make sense how a lot is not computing. And I find the garden, the movement practice, and eating real food, I feel like it gives you common sense. I feel like it activates your common sense. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, because it's the same. When you were talking about the music, I was thinking that we know that there is a plan. There is some agenda behind it. Because how can it be the same everywhere? Like United States, in Brazil is the same. So they are singing violent and disrespectful songs here too, and those music are the most common that everybody's dancing, like kids are dancing, how can it be? So there is a plan behind this, and in this planning, in this agenda, women like black women are in a bad position, and everything's connected with that plan. So you don't feel your own hair, you don't feel your own skin with your scars and your, you know, age mark, age signs. Um, you don't touch the soil. You don't have no connection with the food you eat. Everything is inside that plan, So while after the great author was talking about nutricide, So how can it be the same? Because here in Brazil we have access to a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of things. But even though the majority of people eat unhealthy, eat a lot of sugar, eat a lot of white flour.
White flour.
Uh-huh. So how can it be? How can this be the same in many, many different countries, in many, many, many different places? So this is very serious.
It's a pattern. It's a pattern. And I'm an observer of patterns. To me, observing patterns is a shortcut, right? I like to say, what's the pattern and also what's missing, right? From this. What's missing from this picture? Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to hurt yourself. It doesn't make sense to hurt your loved ones. But if you're doing something for a reason. So I think from a young girl, before I could really articulate it, I just look at the adults and say, this doesn't make sense. Like, why are they doing this? I said, let me watch so I can figure out what's the reason why we're doing this, because I'm fascinated by what's happening in the mind when it comes to self sabotage, right? Putting yourself in harm's way, right? To eat yourself to the point of deformity, right? Because none of us are born unhealthily overweight. So the stomach is actually very small. So a lot of people say stomach, but a lot of times our midsection is spilling out over the hips. That is a precursor. That is a sign of what's to come of the comorbidities, diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure. That's a sign. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When we see our stomach or our midsection starting to spill over. Additionally, many of us don't make the distinction between, let's say, like in the fitness business, right? I'm being in the fitness business for over 30 years. You hear constantly for years, and I don't know how many more diet books they can make. Most people want to lose weight. I like to say release weight, right? Because I really like to think, make the effort to choose my words carefully. But when people think of losing weight, it's really, people don't make the distinction between unhealthful weight and healthy weight, right? So like your bones, your skin, your muscle, that we don't ever want to lose muscle. But the adipose tissue, which is a technical term for fatty tissue, is called adipose tissue. That is the only thing we ever want to lose, and perhaps some extra inflammation or water weight. But when you don't make those distinctions, many people don't realize, especially women, that quite often we do a lot of dieting and under eating, which is not the case for most people. But when we go to extremes, we're losing a lot of muscle. And so without a good amount of muscle, fatty tissue sits around on your lawn like a lawn chair on your body. It doesn't do it, it just sits around on your body. It's not active tissue. But muscle tissue eat your calories to stay alive, right? So I don't find there's some basic comprehensive education about, even though we have degrees coming out of school, really understanding how our bodies work, and also how our brain works, right? We're great workers, but we're not really understanding our psyche and why we self sabotage, right? I would even say for years, this may sound away, but I've said for years, I study, you know, the term what a junkie is? I don't know how they say it in Brazil. A junkie?
Oh,
A junkie.
junkie.
You know what a junkie is?
Yes, we say junkie because we
What's not
take
funny?
this
Yeah.
word
Yeah.
from.
So somebody that's strung out on drugs, right? So I've seen a lot
Okay.
of substance abuse, alcoholism, narcotics, food addiction, right? Growing up, I've seen a lot of that. So I'm fascinated because I was wondering, is that what's going to happen to me when I'm older? So my eyes are peeled as a little girl. I'm trying to understand, right? We're very religious. We're raised very religious. We had a lot of church, but I was like, if we're going to church, shouldn't that be enough for you not to hit each other and fight and to stick needles in your hand? So I'm trying to figure out why these grown-ups are doing what they're doing because I'm wondering if that's what's going to be in store for me. And looking at pictures of my mom and the women in my family who I love dearly, how did they go from this to this? Like I'm curious, how does that happen? What's going on here? I want to know the thought process. So I'm very fascinated by self-sabotage, right? Why do we do that? What's happening, right? Now I know depression. I didn't know words for depression. I don't even know if my grandmother knew that. All they had as an outlet was religion, right? But now as a more mature adult, I can distinguish between therapy and communication skills and religion. So I think there wasn't a lot of options. The elders, ancestors, they used whatever they had, right? Now we have access to more information, though it appears the distraction is mind-boggling and it's seducing. I would even say we're being seduced to sedate ourselves, right? It's enticing. The drama, you're looking at something like this looks crazy, but next thing you know, a half an hour has gone by, and you're watching this stuff, right? It's highly addictive, and it's coming through the music, the so-called entertainment, and the food, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes,
very
that's it.
consistent.
Because we are under there is like a mental, I don't know how to say in English, mental programmation,
Programming or projection,
you know. So we receive a lot of information, but it's not good information and it's not deep information. We are in the superficial information era, you know, and all the ideas they plant in our minds, you know, they plant in the minds of the youth. So they behave all the same, they look like the same, they follow the same pattern, and it's always a self damage pattern, especially for Black people, you know. So that's why we need to fight against, you know, and this must be in a whole perspective. It must be holistic. You know, you gotta change many things in your life in order for you to try to avoid this mental programming, whatever, you know. So I think that all these ancestors technologies are good tools for us to overcome the mental programming, like at taking care of your guard, you know, like garden, like dancing, traditional African rhythms, like uh, practicing capoeira, practicing Kemetic yoga, practicing uh, everything, anything that you can connect with, and is deep, you know. It's something like connected to your roots. So that's why I think that this is so important because we live in difficult times, you know. We live in difficult times. Even though we have a lot of information, what kind of information? You know,
Well,
that's the
information,
point.
I can make a distinction, right? Because I like to say wisdom is very hard earned. I found it's hard. Information is not necessarily wisdom. So I love distinctions because we could assume we're all saying the same thing. But I'm an observer of patterns. I realize sometimes somebody else is controlling the context of what is being talked about. So you think, when you say hunter and gatherer, somebody's thinking a hunter gatherer of berries and somebody's thinking a hunter gatherer of meat, right? Anybody can change the context. And so you said something else about technology. And it's so interesting. I've thought a lot about, again, those three leverage lifestyle practices: the garden, the movement, and the food. I consider them a technology because
Yes.
is you can read a book, but that doesn't give you the insight, right? Let's say, for example, like my godmother introduced I love my god. I talk about them all the time in Grandma Lou. My godmother was doing yoga years ago. I didn't know what that was. Here's one of my homies from high school. Hey, sis. So my godmother was doing yoga. Her and her homie with these two black women, chocolate women, doing yoga. And if I think about it, they were more seasoned women. But when I tell you they were fit, these women were fit. And so when I would go home to my birth family, I saw such a dramatic difference, right? Between my godmother and her friends, and even one of my mentors, which I don't talk about a lot, Queen Afua. Some people are more familiar. She was one of my mentors back in the day. And it's a whole story because of my godparents, how I even hooked up with her. My godparents told me to go volunteer my time in my community for 10 hours. And so all of you around, all the young people around them, young adults, find any place inside of your community and you have to go volunteer for 10 hours. Well, first, she took us to an ashram upstate, a wealthy ashram, right? Like a spirit, you go chant and meditate. It was a wealthy ashram. Actually, Felicia Rashad was there. Cicely Tyson I saw up there. So this is a wealthy ashram. And she took us up there. She said, my godmother said, I want you to see what Black people could have with seva, right? The term seva in yoga and Sanskrit, it means seva means selfless service, right? So she said, I want you to see if we can have it with seva. So we went up to this ashram. There was gigantic chandeliers. I mean, this place was beautiful. The beautiful incense, like you could see the guru walk. The place was beautiful. And so when she took us back down to Harlem, once we got back, she said, now, once she got back, they're always giving us these assignments. Now I want you to find anywhere in your community and you're going to go volunteer there for 10 hours. We're like, 10 hours? She said, it could be anywhere that you like. So back then, again, this is 30 something years ago, I was looking for guidance, right? Because I'm thinking, am I going to become overweight or depressed? Am I going to have a whole bunch of kids by different men? I was looking to see, I needed to see a woman that looked like me that was mature. I was looking for her. She needed to be, I wanted to see her happy, healthy, and living her best life. I needed to see her with my eyes. I needed to see her with my own two eyes. I get the Bible stories, but I wanted to see her walking in the flesh, what she looked like. And I found that in my godmother, right? I got a good job in corporate America. So I couldn't keep going to hang out. I wasn't a drinker, but I used to go out and dance. So I was falling asleep going to work. So I said, I got to find something else. So one of my other club friends invited me to this African dance class. I took one class. That's it. That's it. And my godmother was teaching the class. And I could not keep up with her. I was so confused. I said, how come, wait a minute, how old is she? Why? It's the warm up and I'm done. I'm toasted. I'm fried. Why am I not? I was in decent shape, I thought. How come I can't keep up with her? I was so confused. So I started following her around. I went to every dance class. I just kept coming around. Can I give you some fruit? Can I sweep the floor? And I got stuck like glue. What is she eating? What is she reading? She was wearing her own hair. She had locks, six pack. I'm sure she still has a six pack today. I'm so confused. Her and my godfather. She was constantly volunteering. She was constantly teaching African dance in the school. She was constantly making what do you call it? The outfits for the children to dance in. She was constantly doing lecture demonstrations in different schools consistently. And they were also, between my godparents, they were feeding people and giving work and employment with culture. People were feeding themselves through dance and culture. Period. That's how I got introduced to Sonor Samaj. Sonor Samaj, that made the jewelry because my godfather he likes to dress. He'll have his own little stuff. He made his own Dubai. He made the cultural stuff tight. He used to have his clothes custom made. He had a massive library. So I'm in awe, right? And then my godmother had a six-pack. She was running. When I got pregnant, she told me I needed to do a 3-mile run. I was doing tree pose. I didn't know what Rikshasana was. I was standing in tree pose. So I'm mimicking my godfather's wife was doing Pilates. I didn't know what Pilates was 30-something years ago. I just knew these women were doing it. They had great attitudes. They were all eating healthy. So they were in such contrast to the women that were around me. So I'm so grateful to have even been around them. And then my godmother telling me to volunteer years ago before I became popular. Queen Afua had something called Sacred Woman. And I was looking for a training. So I went and paid my money. I had a good job. I paid to take the training. And after, I said, excuse me, is it okay if I volunteer? You know, I'm an administrative assistant on Wall Street. I can sweep the floor. I can straighten the papers. And I went to volunteer. And 2 weeks later, she offered me a job. And I left Wall Street to stay with her for several years. So people may not recognize me. I'm in that book with a little rounded flat top back then. And the healers that came through, the books that were on her shelf, Queen of Food, she was doing yoga. She was drinking green smoothies. She had Aris Latham, who's a popular raw foodist. He came in to do a private class for her in 1993. I was introduced to living food. All of this being around, for me, volunteering, being in this place. Empress of Kwekwe and Lady Prema, all these eclectic healers in Yala or Africa. All of these people walking through the doors in this place. From me volunteering, I got more than people that were paying to come through the door, right? So when I say and there's another elder that said to me before I left the stage, she said, your culture should feed you, right? Iya Olatunji, she said, your culture should feed you. So all of these images in my mind and all of these experiences, they continue to feed I feel fed and nourished. I cannot go anywhere and not look for where's the dance classes, where's the capoeira, because I'm looking for my nourishment. I'm looking to be fed, and I know that I will find community at the same. It's all built in, right? The garden. I usually find the garden, the movement, the food is all built in, and it's a technology, as you said. It is the technology, the breathing in the yoga, right? I have never felt so rested as I have in my yoga practice, my stretching practice. With the connection for the breath, I can notice my mind is all over the place, and I can notice it calms down when I synchronize my breath with my movement. That is a whole technology. And we're being enticed to take the attention out this way, but you get a curiosity about your own mind during your movement practice, which is usually done early in the morning. Yes, Lady Prema. So this is why I'm a lover of 4 a.m. And again, consistent. Queen of Four used to get up at 4 a.m. I get up at 4 a.m. for years. My grandma got up when it's dark. So there's something about these patterns, these consistent patterns, right? Having a clean, beautiful space to do your stretching, your breathing, and your yoga. I wish more women knew about these practices. So that's part of my vision, because I see the next generation, they won't know about Sister Yaya Dele. I wanted to bring her to Belize and she transitioned. There are some gems that when I tell you there's some gems, this woman, Sister Yaya Dele from the Women of the Calabash, I don't know if you ever heard. I'm going to share some of her stuff with you later. This woman was walking joy. The way she played the shaker.
I know about Queen Afua. Queen Afua. So you had the privilege to enjoy the presence of such nice thinkers of the community.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be honest, especially because again, I think there's a difference this generation. I'm gonna make a distinction. I was privileged, as my godmother said, Saber. She said, she took us up to the ashram. She said, I want you to see what you can have with Saber. Saber means selfless service. So you would have movies, so you would have people from all over the world going to the ashram to volunteer their best services to the ashram or to the guru or the teacher as a spiritual practice. So I was privileged to serve. I was privileged to sweep the floor. I was privileged. I was privileged. People can say a lot of stuff about Queen, but I'm very quiet about that. People can say what they want. That woman is consistent. She is consistent with her food, with her practices. That she said, if this whole thing shut down, I would move into a room and keep doing my healing work. She said years ago. She has been consistent. So I was privileged. My godmother told me to volunteer. I saw something I was interested in learning. So I said, what can I do? How can I serve? And I'll say something else. My godmother, one time, my godmother washed my feet. And I was like, oh my God, look at my godmother. Why is she touching my feet? My godmother washed my feet and she said to me, she said, Kwasa, she said, there's nothing greater than service. So my godparents, still there, I'm sure they're flawed human beings. The things that they have exposed me to, the tools, the insight, there's no money. There is no dollar amount. I don't have enough money to repay them for what the gifts they have given me. I don't. Anything I have is theirs. Anytime they come, whatever's here, you got it. You can have it. They can have it. Because that's how precious the things her telling me to volunteer. That volunteering has opened up more doors to me throughout my entire life. Selfless service. Our spiritual practice. Guess what? We had spiritual practices. You know what our spiritual practices were? Non-stealing, sew up your socks, learn how to give yourself an enema, adopt a vegetarian or lacto over vegetarian diet. This is what they were telling a bunch of young people that was coming around them, right? My godfather even said, your culture, charge people for your culture. Charge people for your culture. He said 30 something years ago, he said, y'all stupid. He said, these people are going to come over here study it. He was talking about hip hop. He said, you don't document your stuff. He said, they're going to come over here, learn it, go back to their country and teach it, and they're going to come back and sell to you at a premium. He said this to me 30 something years ago. So he's very eclectic, but I don't have, and maybe not everybody has, because they're not my birth parents. I just came around. So I'm privileged because I came and I wasn't afraid to sweep the floor and see where I can volunteer. That's how I've been privy to insight and gifts, more than people that were coming through the door paying, because I was willing to apprentice, to volunteer. Do you need me to go to the store? What do you need me to do? That's how I've gotten certain gifts. I was privileged to serve. Mm-hmm. And one of my good friends was like, why are you doing extra? Why are you doing extra? Why are you doing extra? And you know what else my godfather said? He said, you dummies. This is how I used to talk to us. He said, you dummies. He used to tell me, he said, you're not working for the man. He said, when you have good work ethic, he said, you're working for yourself. He said, if you're always in the habit of doing less, he said, you will never get into your dean. And your dean means, he used to call it the habit of doing more that's paid for. He said, you want that to become your habit, that you have that habit of excellence. So through the dance, through the culture, through all this volunteering, that's how I received a lot of gifts from serving. My godmother washed my feet. Imagine an elder washing your feet. And she said to me, there's nothing greater than service. Mm-hmm. So what can I say?
I can agree with her. Here we have our spiritual community, which we call Candomblé, So we have this liberty of serving. So I understand very well what you've been saying, and I agree 100%,
I only know about Candomblé via Capoeira, right? And then if my professor is still on, she gave me this book before she went back to the States. I love books. And so she gave me, even though I've been exposed to Capoeira years ago, she gave me this book, which is so fantastic. Oh, this is such a great book on capoeira, and I really feel passionately. I would love to see millions of women doing capoeira because just like the rest of the technology, cultural technology, there's so much built into capoeira. First of all, confidence and being able to move your body and be able to defend yourself, to be quite honest. I'm a flower, but you might have to give somebody a spiritual behind whooping sometime. You might have to give a nice little kick or whatever. But more so that the play, the confidence, the community, there's so much that's built into capoeira that I can't say enough about it. So my nieces are probably wondering, oh, here goes Auntie again talking about this stuff. But I would because it's so therapeutic. I would love to see more women engaging in capoeira, like the songs, which the songs transmit culture and have a lot of lessons and common sense, all rolled into one. And it's active rather than
Yes.
you're looking at the screen.
Sister,
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about capoeira, but I need to get a glass of water. Just a minute, okay?
Yes, please. So, ladies, get some water because we are so blessed to have on the line from Brazil. We have Ana Luisa Wajet. She is a comedic yoga instructor, and she's also a very passionate educator. So on YouTube, Celine P says self-expression is so important to have self-fulfillment. Yes. I love somebody said, Celine P. I love West African dance. It's a movement practice that feels so free and natural. And it has my stamp all over it, made just for me. A lot of the music that is pushed in our community is programming and degenerative. I think it's a way to have us not take ourselves seriously, which silence us and impacts our work. Definitely. That's such great insight. Thank you for sharing that. W says, greetings all. Just saw this live. Hope it's not about to end yet. Well, we won't take up all her time, but we want to get some more in. Carolyn Shepherd, greetings, everyone. So shout out to folks that on the Body Culinary YouTube channel. Shout out to the Instagram community. Oi, preta. That's my sister just told you, say, hey, sis. To my folks over in Brazil. And also in my vision, when I was a little girl, I read all the books on the shelf, and it was a book of Bible stories. And one of the stories had a picture of all these different people from around the world with a little flame on their head, and the flame represented different languages. And I remember like, I want to speak every language in the world. Right now, who knows if I'll ever get to that? But this feels like part of my vision because I want to have all my homies from Haiti or Haiti and from Brazil, Barbados, Belize. I want my international posse. And so the internet, we can use the internet. We can leverage the internet. Fire can burn or it can purify. We can use the internet very strategically to cultivate and generate economics. We can use it to share information about our garden. We can use it to share about our movement practice or to join in on the African dance or join in with Ana Luisa with comedic yoga. So it's all up to us how we want to curate and how we want to use the internet so that we come away from this interaction. I know when I come away from an interaction, I can tell if it's a good interaction if I'm inspired to go make some healthy food, or if I'm inspired to dance or to get some movement, then I know it was a fruitful interaction. So hopefully we're coming away from these interactions inspired to get into action around the things you say are important to you, right? The things that are your core values. Greetings, Amoria, who came to visit us here in Belize. Greetings to Scorpion over there in Brooklyn. Sending awesome positive vibrations. So I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'm so pleased to just have you on today. This is set aside on my calendar. Yeah, so I'm wondering if perhaps we could pause, if you could share with us your Barenbow.
Right now, I just want to say some words about capoeira.
Yes.
One thing that we can never forget is that capoeira was a culture that developed in slavery times, and it is the fight for the black body to gain freedom So it's something very deep of our experience here in Brazil. We know that capoeira has its roots into African culture of people who came from places where they were speaking Bantu language, like Angola. We know that capoeira came from Angola dance, and um, this is something very deep and very spiritual for our community here in Brazil. And one thing that is beautiful is that our experience here from our ancestors here in this part of the diaspora could connect with so many other souls, so many other communities all around the world. And to me, it's very special to practice body practice that has all this history and all this strength behind it, you know. So to practice capoeira, to become capoeira, is to fight for your freedom. You know, is to fight for your own freedom. So I agree with you 100% that I would like to see more sisters, more Black women practicing capoeira. And everything that we can um, make with our body to connect us to our ancestors and to connect us with very important knowledge, you know. We are talking about things that are necessary for us to live, you know. Like we need to have soil, we need to have land, you know. We need to have access to sources. We need to have access to clean water. We need to have access to good food, you know, in order for us to see the next generations, our next generation. We need to fight for our freedom. So I wanna play something special for you that my master of capoeira taught me. Can I?
Please, please, please. Obrigada. Woo!
Oh, you're welcome.
Listen, that's what I'm talking about. Listen, for anybody that's catching this replay, if this applies to you, what we are listening to is instruction, and it is affecting your subconscious. It's affecting your decisions. It's affecting your cravings. It's affecting whether or not you're opening your legs to what is unsafe. We may not take it seriously, but what we are listening to is a form of consumption that is going to be processed by the brain and the subconscious. We are deeply, deeply, deeply affected by the lyrics. A lot of this stuff doesn't even have real instruments. So it's a whole technology. Oh my God. That just touched my soul. I don't even know. I know, hey, Kamara. I've heard several different renditions of it. Sometimes I don't even understand the language, but I can feel the vibe. And I'm here to tell you it's a technology. There are tools to work with yourself. The garden to me is the first church. But the garden is also a tool. It's deep therapy. It's something that you have access to, that you don't have to make an appointment with a therapist. You don't have to make an appointment with the therapist. And I would even say, when you go into the garden and you put your hands into the soil, it cuts through all the talk and the jibber jabber. Your ancestral common sense is ignited and turned on. It just cuts through a lot of the busyness and the talk and the projection and the distraction. When you are outside and you hear the breeze in the trees and your ears start to become attuned to the different types of birds, and I hear different birds at different times of the day and different times of the year, and notice when the bees are coming. I can see when the rain is coming based on when the termites are coming. You can hear. One time I didn't know what it's like to hear the rain. I was like, why is everybody running to pull the laundry up the line? I can hear the rain coming now. I can hear the rain coming. It's a different channel that you're on when you're out in nature. It's a different, not even to sound esoteric. It's actually, I would say spirituality is actually very practical. It's very common sense, right? Nature, I have gotten more out of my little garden that I have gotten all the different houses of worship in terms of direct information, direct common sense that is activated. When I'm hearing the berimbau and when I'm watching you sing, it's like it's beyond words. It's just joy. It's just pure joy. And I think we have a lot of stuff, but no joy. And just my little 2 cents. Today we're being enticed and seduced to connect and to use our sacred reproductive organs that channel life here very indiscriminately in a way that dishonors ourselves and also is actually not healthy. And it is being encouraged through the things that we're bopping and that we're listening to, right? Because it bypasses your common sense. It's hitting right to your subconscious because of the hypnotic tunes and the rhythms, and you're not even questioning what you're listening to. So there the discernment just goes out of the window. But when you're playing the instrument, which by the way challenges and develops your brain after you singing and playing the instrument at the same time, right? It's stimulating your brain. We're being encouraged to take pills to stimulate the brain instead of doing movement or playing an instrument and singing at the same time and being a very conscious consumer of the lyrics that we are choosing intentionally and consciously. So there's a lot that's right and is right underneath our nose. Is right there inside a lot of these, I call them therapeutic lifestyle practices. It's so beneficial. Like, greetings, Sasha. Thank you so much. There's so much opportunity here. Like, I feel like I'm busting it. I have to contain myself because I'm just so excited and so grateful. This is part of a vision that I have to see several million women, especially women of Afro descent. All are welcome. We respectfully have lots of gifts to share. But yes, I'm going to say I would like to see, while I'm here in my human suit, I want to see at least 2 million, at least 2 million women that have access on their phones to the internet. If you got to prop it up on a book or a little stand, to bring your phone into the stand, into the garden. Hey, sis, what's going on? How did you grow your plantains? Or how's your aloe growing over there? To share the garden, to share capoeira, to share comedic yoga, and to share your tips for healthy eating and the things that you're finding, the price per pound. Because ideally, this would be the I think we discussed before the kapanguima, right? I call it a cocoon. The kapanguima is where women would go for their rites of passage, which is secret, right? Men have theirs, women have theirs. And when you go into the kapanguima, you're learning about the secrets of your culture. You're learning about the health of your breast, your womb. You're learning about common sense. You're learning what happens when you have conflict in your family or in your relationships. That's not there anymore. So a lot of folks are operating blind. And when you consider that wisdom is based on not just reading information where you're top heavy with information but have no common sense. In wars, that's why you have to kill the books, burn the books, and kill the elders. You got to burn the books and you got to kill the elders because those are the folks that have seen seasons and seasons. You got to kill those folks at 100 years or 105 because they have the memory of what came before, so you don't keep reinventing the wheel. And you have discernment, but you have more information, but no wisdom and no common sense. And you can see it based on you putting yourself in harm's way. There's no principles of guidance, and it seems like we have nothing else to look forward to than popular entertainment. And most of these leaders and entertainers can lead you out of a paper bag. Thank you so much. Oh, I feel so grateful and fulfilled um, in this moment because again, I cannot. There's no money. There's no money that there's nothing wrong with wealth, right? Because we have things to do. But I don't. There's not enough money for me to repay the gems that have been gifted to me um, by my living ancestors and Grandma Lou and the ancestors that came before. And my godmother, I used to always give her flowers and say, "What can I do for you?" And my godmother gave me a card once back. She said, "Remember to always see the goddess within you." And she said, "When are you going to know that you are enough?" And also, her invitation was outdo me. And you add your chapter, add just like in the principles of Kwanzaa, to leave your community more beautiful and beneficial than you inherited. Those are really simple. They're simple principles, but they're so leveraged. I'm really into the leverage, the things that give you back something for the investment. If it's an investment, you should get back more than you invested, right? So I like principles and patterns because they can cut through a lot of the confusion with all the information online coming from so many personalities. You can't tell who you're listening to, right? Because people come online and with a fancy outfit and gift of gab, and you can't tell who you're taking the information from. So I feel so grateful. Could you share with us about your garden or some things that you've been growing or that you like to grow?
So, here where I live, first, uh, I feel very grateful for being here with you, this afternoon. So, I share you are.
I share.
So here, um, we live. We are in a very warm region, and we have good soil. Uh, I live in a city, which is a little city in the mountains, but I'm not very far from the ocean.
Mm.
Actually, I am close to a bay, one of the biggest of the world, Baía de Todos os Santos. So we have this tropical weather here, and we can play wherever, everything, you know. But here, what I was planting last year was okra, lots of okra, tomatoes, like the green leaf that you put in the food. Like I don't know the names in English, but salsinha, cebolinha, coentro.
Mm.
I don't know the name in English, but the little greens that you put in the food,
The herbs?
Uh, plantain yam, which is the root. Very good for cleaning the blood. Very good for progesterone for women. We can plant sunflowers. I used to plant a lot of sunflowers. Giló, that I don't know how to say in English. Pepino. I don't know the word.
That's cucumber. It sounds like cucumber. Pepino in Espanol is cucumber. So the pepino is maybe similar in Portuguese.
Yes. I think that coentro is
culantro. There's cilantro, and then it's culantro.
Yes. We call it coentro. And the other one we call salsa. That is very similar to coentro. You know?
Sounds familiar.
Salsa.
See, what you're saying to me right now is, again, this is me all day. I think of Grandma Lou. In New York, when I would go to the vegetable market, right, usually there's certain markets that all the grandmothers are at. So if you pick at something, they feel they have the right to tell you, no, put that down. That's not right. You have to pick it like this. And everybody starts from the different islands tell you how they prepare, like, let's say, for example, my dad is from Barbados, and they make a dish called cuckoo, which I had a friend from Antigua. In Antigua, they call it fungi. So usually you're going to find several African dishes, right, with yams or corn and okra. So the cuckoo is like a turned cornmeal porridge. You have to start while it's hot so it doesn't get lumps in it. And they put okra in it, and it's cooked while it's piping hot, right? And so that porridge you take on top of it, and you put stewed tomatoes. Some people put fish or smoked herring on top of the tomato sauce. And then they also serve it. My grandmother would serve with flying fish. Like, I don't know if you know flying fish. It glides over the water. She would take her homemade seasoning, put it in the center, fry it shut, serve it with the cuckoo, sometimes with breadfruit and okra and lettuce and tomato. So the same dish, you find it throughout the Caribbean with slight variation. So if you're at the market and you're picking something, then a grandmother will tell you from Antigua or from Jamaica, no. They'll just tell you. They're going to be nosy, whatever. But I like that because they're going to tell you what they call it in their country. Everybody's going to tell you how they prepare it, the cerasi, the sorrel, the maudie, all of these different drinks, the sea moss. Everybody's going to tell you their variation of how you prepare it and what it's good for in terms of your breast, your womb, if you got sores or rashes. This is how that ancestral information is passed on when you're preparing food or while you're getting your hair braided or while you're inside the garden. So again, I think, we're so more than ever very disconnected. So you're running around looking for more clothes and you're being offered medication and they're offering you more stuff, but there's not enough stuff to replace that kind of interaction, that kind of wholesome, holistic, natural interaction, right? If I come over now, my rope to your house and we jump, double dutch? Do they jump double dutch in Brazil? Double dutch?
No.
When you have the rope, one person is on either end and everybody's turning, then somebody jumps in the middle and they're doing tricks with the jump rope. Okay, so
okay. Pula corda.
Okay, you have another name for it, see? Right? So when I come to Brazil, we're gonna play double dutch, and I'm gonna show you how we do it here in Brooklyn. We're gonna play double dutch, and we have our little songs that we play. Yes, we have our songs. Depending on what part of town you're from, you have your little songs with the double dutch, and then I know every culture has like. Y'all play those hand games? Yes. Y'all have hand games?
Not these specifically, but we have some music, some stuff that we sing while we are jumping.
Yeah, so we have hand games, but all of this is our culture. These are things that is playful, that make us feel good, that make us feel a lot of joy. How much does this cost? It doesn't cost you anything. I don't need a new makeup palette, a new wig. I don't need all this stuff to feel fulfilled. Just to somebody to share their oranges or their grapes with me and to share a hand game or to share a song, right? I don't need it. It shouldn't have to cost you $1 million, right? With losing this, the internet is having us lose our humanity. It's having us lose our humanity.
Yes.
And it's getting to a point where people are feeling ashamed about what they really look like. It's almost like you feel ashamed if you have to show
Yes,
your real skin. Again, I'm not anti makeup, but I say all the time I deserve to feel comfortable in my own hair and skin. People are feeling a way about being a natural human being. That's crazy to me. Where in traditional
that's
cultures,
it.
usually you look up to people that are in their 90s or 100. And, when I think of I can never think of my grandma was ugly. She was so beautiful with all the bit of little wrinkles that she had. Like, she had wisdom, she was kind, she was patient. There's nothing ugly. I could never imagine my grandmother sticking plastic in her face. I think
Yeah.
my grandmother would laugh. I couldn't imagine it. So it's a different channel that we're on. It's something we're being given a cheap substitute. We're being given a cheap substitute, and the next generation can't tell what's missing. Something is missing, but you can't put
Yeah.
your finger on what it is, and so you just choose from whatever is being placed before you. But the results are speaking for them. Is speaking for itself.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Because the youth is suffering from so many mental health, and uh, we are being taught to hate the way that we really are, to hate the way that we look, to think that we need to fix, we need to change our own features, you know. Um, we are being taught that we need to follow a pattern. We are being taught that there is one person to be beautiful or to feel beautiful or to feel good about yourself. Like I am not against makeup, but I just can't have it, I don't know. It's not my own, I don't feel good. I feel like girl, something strange in my skin. And as as people who use makeup feel comfortable. People who don't use makeup should be comfortable too,
Mm,
So
mm.
you come here to make a life and you look to your face and you stay thinking like I should use something because everybody use no, it's okay to be yourself. It's not
Mm.
wrong. So why are they teaching, especially women, that we need to go under surgery and other procedures to feel good, to feel beautiful, I think that when a woman is connected to her own womb, when a woman has these connections, when a woman change um, energy with nature, she becomes more confident and more like comfortable,
Mm.
comfortable on her own skin. Like you don't need to prove nobody. You don't need to look a certain way to be beautiful. Your female um, instinct, your I don't know how to say in English. Ah, that's difficult. Your femininity.
Yes, he said it. You got it.
Is
You
that a
got it.
word?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, your femininity. It's nothing to do with using makeup or straightening your hair.
Mm.
You learn how to how to deal with your own stuff. When you get centered on your own womb.
Mm.
So it's very as we were saying before. It's holistic. You won't do it by yourself. You need the motherland. You need the water. You need the air. You need the plants. You need the good food. You need your African technology. You need to move your hips. You need to dance. That's how we can like overcome the oppression. I will call oppression.
Yes, yes, yes. It's so true. I mean, that's how those are my tools. That's how I make myself feel better. I make myself feel better with movement. I remember sometimes this girl was like, "How do you do this? How do you do that?" I'm like, "Oh, have you not been watching?" I ride my bicycle to the market. I put my food from the food co-op on my handlebars. I eat my own food that I prepare with my own hands. I make it look cute and pretty for myself. I soak in my tub with Epsom salt. I go to the park constantly. I go to dance classes. This is this is therapeutic. This is therapy. I cannot say enough that the lifestyle is therapy and that we have access to it. We have access. It's not necessarily the barrier of money because who's going to stop you from singing or playing your berimbau, right? Or playing your berimbau with your sisters. We're leaving a lot of life and enjoyment and a healthy connection on the table. And I think we become unhealthy from not having healthy connections. I know sometimes we hear that women can be catty, all these different things, which is why I like to come together around activities, right? Because the activities have built in, like the garden, for example, the cooperation is built into it. So, I've been in community gardening groups where if we had to clear that whole yard and remediate the soil by ourselves, it's an overwhelming task. But when you're doing it with other people, like you get it done in less time, there's a sense of accomplishment. Everybody brought some food to share. We got some good music playing. It becomes the thing that you were trying to avoid becomes a joy. It becomes a joy. And so it's like, I feel like it's the best kept secret. These lifestyle practices, the capoeira, the African dance, and the movement of your hips, now it's being sold to us on the internet again at a premium, as my godfather said. They're taking you and selling you back you like it's something new at a premium. And this is our culture, right? The braids, I don't even have to do anything. I saw the other day on Facebook. Sometimes the internet make you want to give your eyes a wash with soap and water. There was this sister inside of a store, and she was like, it's not just a beauty supply store, but they have beauty supplies in, and the camera recorded her stealing um, beauty products. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. But that said something. When we feel we have to steal a beauty product, I can appreciate all cultures and slanty eyes and whatever your rosy cheeks. But this, nobody got this. I don't have to pay anything. If my hairline is ever going back here, I'm gonna shave it off. And I feel very confident with a bald head. I've done it before. So I feel like we're struggling to look like something we could never look like, to be we could never be, when I worked internationally before for the airline. I have never gone to a country, whether my hair was in two-strand twists or bald, I have never gone anywhere where I have not received compliments. But more so than the compliments, I feel fantastic with my own hair and skin. I love my hair and skin. And yes, I breastfed, I had a child at home on the floor, got some stretch marks. I really like myself. I like myself to it, and I am intentional about continuing to enjoy my time in my human suit, which I won't have forever. I want to enjoy it stress free. I deserve stress free. I like me. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Am I 20 anymore? Am I 30? Am I 40? No, but you can be the best, foxiest, confident 60, which I intend to. Is your breast gonna be firm mangoes forever? No, but it's a whole nother level of, I think, of sensuality that comes with the wisdom. There's a sensuality and a confidence that comes with the life experience. It's a sensuality, it's the confidence. So I don't have to put everything out on Front Street, right? Leaving nothing to the imagination. I don't have to. And actually, your eyes become different as you become more seasoned. It kind of screams desperation or a lack of confidence, right? Because we're not even questioning what we're doing. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think that because many people, many women can listen to us and say, "Oh no, you're just like being boring because that's the way I like to be." But one thing is, that's really the way you like to be, or that's the way you are being taught to be, Because again, to me, for example, to use makeup is something nice. The problem is that people are making using makeup to be the normal. So if you don't use, you are not. So they are changing things, changing you know. So now they try to say that women must behave certain way, you know, to be attractive man. Like, no, you don't need to follow the pattern. That's boring. No,
I would
that's
agree because
boring.
everybody looks
Following
the
the same
same.
pattern.
Everybody looks the same. Like you crank them out
Same.
of a cookie cutter. There's no different, no nuances. Like, why would you cut off what makes you unique? I'm like, oh heck to the no. This is like my special secret power, my secret sauce that I've been gifted with. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, this is the bomb right here. No, I don't even have to. This is like I'm free. I don't have to comb it. I don't have to twist it. I don't have to oil it. I can pull some herbs out of my garden, make a tea, and I'm good. And I feel so. I wish I had known when I was a little girl. I wish I had known that. I remember cutting my. I used to have a jerry. You know what a jerry curl is? The chemical curl. They used to call it. They used to call it in the states a jerry curl. It's like a curly perm, right? So I remember I got this curly perm with Jerry Curl juice, the chemicals dripping down my neck onto my collar, dripping down into my face, making me have acne and breakouts. I was turning myself inside out. And then I also, because many Caribbean people get a gold tooth, I begged my father to have me get a gold tooth, and I cemented it here on the front. I had a gold tooth here with a heart in it. Until in the 80s, they started robbing people and stealing their gold teeth. So I chipped it off until I took it off. But I remember I was like, this is too much drama. I saw a picture of a model. Her name was Kimmy Kane back in the day, and it was a black designer named Patrick Kelly. He passed away. But she was on the cover of Essence. She had a low haircut, and she wasn't skinny. She was very voluptuous. And I was like, I took one look at her, and I said, I want that. What she got, that right there, that what she got, I want that cut right there. So I said to my boyfriend, I think I want to cut my hair. He said, if you ever cut your hair, he said, I'm leaving you. And I'm thinking, what's the big deal? Yes, he said your hair's supposed to be long. I had a jerry curl. It's supposed to be pretty. And I was thinking, yeah, but it's just a hairstyle. And then my grandfather said, a woman's hair is a glory. You're not supposed to cut your hair. Your hair is your glory. Don't you know that? But I was thinking, I just want the haircut. So one of my fashion forward friends said, I'll go with you to get it cut. And she introduced me to this brother. He cut my hair off. It had a lot of hair, but I never felt so stunning I couldn't stop staring at myself. I said, and the epiphany was, I don't have to do anything to myself to feel attractive. I will never forget that moment. I felt so attractive, and we are all at our most attractive when we're healthy. To be quite honest, everybody's attractive when you're healthy and with decent character, whatever. But we're all at our most attractive when we're healthy. That moment right there, I will never. You couldn't pay me to go back. I can appreciate a pixie. I can appreciate nice makeup, but I'm very intentional about enjoying my own hair and skin, and that is part of, I think, of sensuality. Because I remember I wasn't a big makeup wearer, but when I would take off my mascara, I didn't feel so confident, and I said, I don't like that. I don't like when I take something off. So I still may wear mascara from time to time, but most of the time I take some shea butter and some castor oil and go like this and keep it moving because I'm active in the garden and with my workout. But I feel good in my skin. I want to feel good when I'm 60 and when I'm 70 and when I'm 80 and when I'm 90 and when I'm 100. I want to enjoy my grandmother. I watched her confident in her skin in her 90s.
Huh?
And that made a big impression on me. She'll never know the impression that she left on me just watching her pleasant and comfortable in her own skin. Mm-hmm. So shout out to my folks over there on YouTube.
You are an Ocean daughter.
Ocean's daughter?
Yes. I think that you are an Ocean daughter.
I'll take that. I'll take that. So hold on, let me say hello to my folks on YouTube. And if you have all of these fancy, expensive phones, you can also turn on Instagram because we're also on Instagram and we are having an interview. We're coming live from Belize and Bahia in Brazil, and we're having an international connection and communication around therapeutic lifestyle practices, right? the things that we can do every day to really make us feel good. Old school, ancestral technology that you have access to. If you have enough space for an exercise mat, you can do some breathing and some yoga. Please look up Ana Luisa Ankh M. Maat on Instagram. You can catch the replay. You can have it on the two devices if you want to see her beautiful face. You can see her over on Body-Culinary on Instagram. And this is my official inauguration of the Afro Flower podcast. So I did so many gems that I want to share that my godmother exposed me to, that I came across working at Heal Thyself. There are some real gems, and there's so many young women walking around with no guidance and no safe spaces to express or to ask their questions. So that is also a part of the vision with this podcast. I want to archive some of these conversations somewhere. So if somebody's looking for it, they can find it, because I was looking for guidance in my early 20s, right? And I still made some mistakes, but who knows what my life would have turned out like if I hadn't met some trustworthy elders, right, who weren't trying to exploit me, who gave me some gems that still serve me to this day, right? The technology of the song, of the dance, introduced me to capoeira and West African dance and healthy eating and juice. This was my godparents. I don't now I'm confused. I don't know their age now because maybe they were my age then. So now I'm confused because they when I tell you excellent shape, my godparents excellent shape, and every summer they would do a fast. Not show up to anybody else. They would fast every summer and they would exercise every Kwanzaa. My godfather was still performing Kwanzaa. And he's the head of the dance company. He doesn't have to perform anymore, but he does it for the joy of it. So they set the bar really high in terms of things that they planted in me to aspire to. So if I see my godparents rocking out in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, then I'm like, now I have a living walking. They're still walking and breathing now. So I don't have to say they're just an ancestral world. They're living ancestors. They're still rocking out with healthy eating and like today. And that was, I can say for me personally, it was critical that I saw men and women, but in particular, I'm gonna be honest with you, I needed to see a woman that looked like me. I can look to other cultures, I appreciate other cultures, but I'm gonna be clear. I needed to see somebody that looked like me, vibrant, healthy, and living her best life so I could know what there was to look forward to. Many people feel like they don't have anything to look forward to because the amount of self-medication that were being offered, it says to me kind of that many people don't really want to be here, right? Many of us are called for from the ancestral world unintentionally. And so you can see that many people kind of like don't really want to be here. That's what our behavior is showing. Like it's so reckless that we're damaged. Even if you turn down the volume on our talk and you watch how we're expressing like a very effort attitude or I don't care. You know, I used to always tell my son, I said, don't say I don't care because that's a whole vibe, right? But many people are expressing that they don't want to be on this side anymore. It's too painful or it's not fulfilling or what's the point? You can hear it coming out of people's mouths that there's almost like no specialness to life. So whatever, whatever. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to park these conversations. There's some other young women that I have these conversations with, and one of them says, Mama Kwasa, where were you when I was in my 20s? So I just want to park these important communications, like the virtual Kapangwima, right? The Kapangwima would be the place you would go to that is private, that is sacred, that you go to discuss your menstrual cycle. And as you're doing a rites of passage from, the maiden, there's the maiden, the mother, and the crone. So as you go from that rites of passage from a maiden to a mother, and then eventually the crone, we're being encouraged to look down upon the age of the crone. That's a highlight of a woman's life. You're no longer giving birth right through your womb. But my godmother never had physical children. When I tell you this woman has children everywhere on the globe, ever since I met her, she was taking care of children in Africa, adopting these. She has children. If you met her, she'd be your godmother too. That's the energy she is. So she's everything. She epitomizes. She epitomizes mother, and I think that's also important to note because a lot of people are taking their cues from the internet. And so the reality is, for many women in their late 20s or 30s, um, feel pressured about having children, right? They want to be a mother, but may not be seeing folks that are interested or mature enough or dedicated enough to also want to parent with. So you find some women, young women, making reckless decisions about who to parent with out of desperation. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can see it played out. So if there was a common agreement, these would be questions. You would ask these real questions, to your elders. What am I supposed to do about this? What am I supposed to do about that? If I break up, if I want to get to, where are you going? People are going to the internet. And without a vetting process, without a check and balance, how can you know who you're taking information from? Doesn't feel like it's a safe space. And as a young person, you're very impressionable. You're very impressionable to bad advice. Sometimes it might be even women sharing bad advice with each other. That could really alter the whole trajectory of your life, right? Things you may not be ready for. So that's why I think it's really important to. That's what I envisioned with these conversations in this podcast. So I can't say enough how you're such a divine setup. How this came together and you being the inaugural talk of this Afro Flower podcast. I'm so pleased. I'm extremely pleased. Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah. So I
Yes,
wanted
me too. The only thing that I'm not seeing you, so it's not that nice to not interact with you, with your
Oh.
face, with your expression.
Well,
That's
wait till
why
you
I'm
catch
like
the
signing up,
replay.
you know?
Yeah, so you're gonna have to see how beautiful you're glowing on the replay. I did want to ask you though about some of your healthy eating practices and maybe perhaps share some of your journey. And I would like to say, as somebody that has consumed, as somebody eats whole fresh living foods for I don't know 13 years. Before that, from the time I graduated from high school, been eating very healthily. It's been a journey. I've done all kinds of things from vegan, the vegetarian to vegan, a little bit of living foods, back to fish, then back to poultry, and then back to quote unquote raw vegan. So I don't think that we need one more thing to divide us or to ego trip off of the labels because the labels don't necessarily speak to your results. And I think it is definitely a journey. You'll likely try different things on for size, right? And I don't think there's any way around experimentation to find out what works for you, what you can sustain with your budget, what feels good to um, your body composition, your performance, eating for longevity. So all that to say, all of us are on our journey. Get in where you fit in. But I would love to hear about some of your favorite foods over there that you eat to stay healthy and your lifestyle practices in terms of eating or a little bit about your journey.
Hmm. So, okay, just like you, I've been through different kinds of diets. I was born eat, in a meat eater family, like the normal Brazilian black family with meat and everything. And then when I was 18, I became a vegetarian
Hmm.
and I spent like um, until my 30s like a
Wow.
vegetarian. In that period, I changed it to vegan diet, but always avoiding any kind of meat, you know?
Hmm.
Nowadays, I eat whatever I want, but I like to keep it real. I mean, I like to eat real food, you know. So, the way I see diet changes over the years, especially after I enjoyed my spiritual community, you know, and after I had access to some knowledge, some understanding So nowadays I feel like it's very personal,
Mm.
you know, because there are things that are healthy but are not good for me to eat. For example,
Mm.
like I cannot eat some food that are not how can I say in English? Like that are not I don't know how to say in English, but I'll try. That are not vibrating with my bodum, with my orisha, for example, you know.
Mhm.
So when you get initiated for one specific bodum, orisha, or entity, so you have a list of foods that you cannot eat, and maybe those foods are healthy, you know,
Mm.
maybe those foods are natural, but they are like forbidden for you, for example, and that's scientific understanding a scientific meaning for that, you know,
Mm.
because you vibrate that specific energy and something about that food, you know, some histories that already happened in the past made that food not good for you, for your energy, for your vibration, for
Mm.
example, you
Mm.
know. So nowadays I understand that eating is something very personal.
Mm.
You need to feel your own body, you know. You
Mhm.
need to gain access to understanding and to knowledge of your own spirituality, of your own body, of your own energy flow patterns, you know. Like many um, medicinal uh, cultures, medicinal knowledge talk about it, like Ayurveda talk about it,
Mhm.
like Chinese medicine talk about it, and African medicine, spiritual medicine talk about it too, you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
So nowadays I think that eating is something very personal and your main um, teacher is your own body.
Mm.
What you eat, how you gonna feel after you eat, you know?
Mm.
So today I keep vegetarian most uh, most of the time, you know, but sometimes I eat some traditional food from here, which is like seafood, like muqueca and stuff like that, you know. But in my daily routine, I eat a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables. I do a lot of green juice. I eat a lot of nuts, a lot of fruits. You know,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
my main ingestion. I like beans a lot. I like nuts a lot. You know, and a lot of fruit because here in Bahia is like the fruit plant. You know,
Oh my
there's a
gosh.
lot
Okay.
of
I'm
different
coming
fruits.
to Bahia. I'm
You
coming. I'm
need to,
coming. I'm coming.
you need to come, sister.
Yes, honey. We have a date.
Feel
I'm definitely looking forward to coming. Yes, definitely. You have to come
so,
over here and have tea with me in the garden. You know, again, I'm so grateful for following my intuition all these years, and it's something that's so key that you say because it's. I feel like the internet culture and human culture at this point is very. It can be very cult-like and mob-like, right? When you find your a personality you like, or you like their outfit, or you like their hair, or you like their body. You know, you may find a presidential candidate or a religious personality. You like one or two things about them, and you just follow blindly. And you can stop thinking for yourself and experiencing and listening to your own body. So your journey for nutrition, your journey in general is very personal. It's very personal. I think we're enticed to become very polarized with our food. You know, I've been there, whether you're vegan, raw food, and you know, if I'm raw vegan, but I'm falling down on the street, you know, or I'm under eating, does it really matter the label? Or let's say I'm raw vegan, but I got a nasty attitude, you know, who cares? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that food is something to divide us. I think the labels are really just distinctions in terms of what you would like to be served, right? But they don't necessarily speak to the results. right? And I find that people are going to eat the best, hopefully, of what's available to them based on what their understanding is, their consciousness, their budget, their lifestyle, their children. And I don't think we need to shame each other for our hair or whether you wear makeup or what you're eating, right? Because then perhaps we're missing out on the best that we have to offer, right? The gifts. Let's say, like, I know somebody that's 300 pounds. Is she not valuable because her physical weight is 300 pounds? That's ridiculous, right? So a lot of this programming we picked up a lot of sayings and a lot of entertainment and a lot of ways of being mean spirited to each other, and we don't even question it. But I think perhaps if we were to quiet down in the garden, our movement practice, we can see that it doesn't feel good. The person, I remember once I was playing capoeira, and inside the holder, somebody was like a big, gigantic, jolly person, and then there was a little boy inside the holder. Then there was an older person, and like that's one of the best holders that I have in my memory because it's like everybody was. It wasn't even a workout. The music was jamming, but it was so much play. I felt like we would. I call it drunken monkey kung fu. We were just playing and enjoying each other, so it didn't matter. It didn't matter what somebody's body looked like. Who cares? We were just really enjoying each other's company and playing, and that's the beauty of the ancestral technology of dance and song
Yeah,
and movement.
that's the spice about capoeira because it's a fight because there is the martial arts that have movements that can kill, but even though we can do it like playing, like laughing, we call it mandinga. We can do it like, but we are laughing, but it's a fight.
Yeah, at the same time, right? I've heard like some legends, like
Yeah.
I saw Bisoro, right? Which is so funny. Somebody told me about Bisoro, like one of the legends of capoeira for you folks out there in YouTube, and its symbol is that beetle, Bisoro, and so my
hmm
last name is Kepera. Which,
Actually, he was a real person.
mm. So it's so
Yeah.
interesting that the symbol for Bisoro is the beetle, and the beetle represents my last name, right? And also my son's name, which is some people say Kefra or Kepra.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, wow, this legend of this beetle is Bisoro, and I love watching the movie. I was watching with the subtitles, the legend, which is that was really a wonderful movie for all you folks out there in YouTube land. You might be able to still catch it on YouTube for free. But Bisoro, the legend, one of the legends of Capoeira, and to just see how they were fighting like low amongst themselves inside the grass and maintain it. It's just so full. It's so much medicine to be had inside the technology of song and dance. And I think a healthy way to experience community, which is really lacking. And even as something you said, like with the martial arts, all of the martial arts have honor and lessons and integrity built within the song, and also how uh, the jinga or the holder, how it's being taught to you, has life lessons built into it, right? So the maestre or whoever the older teacher is giving you so much common sense life lessons at the same time you're being taught this martial art, and you play it until you're old. And sometimes you can't play, then you hold space for others to play by playing the bambao or the atabaki or the what do you call the shekere? Shishi? No, what do you call it?
Kashishi.
Kashishi. The kashishi.
Oh, I forgot my kashishi.
Oh, you gonna share with us another song from Capoeira?
Let me think.
Yeah,
my phone kind of crazy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. The screen is a little frozen, but I can still hear you.
Yeah. Okay, because my screen's totally frozen.
Yeah, it's frozen, but I can still see. So we're working with the technology here again for you folks that are joining in. Welcome. This is the inaugural um, edition of the Afro Flower podcast, and we have here. You can, if you go into BODYCULINARY on Instagram, we have Ana Luisa Wajet. She's an educator and comedic yoga instructor in Bahia, in Brazil. So we're leveraging the internet. We're leveraging the internet to share therapeutic lifestyle practices so we can understand and maybe have some insight and maybe some inspiration as to things that you have access to give yourself therapy, to administer therapy to yourself, to make yourself feel good. It doesn't cost you $1 million, and perhaps have some alternatives that can really serve you in terms of your mental and emotional health. These ancestral practices, which include the garden, a movement practice like capoeira, or uh, you have yoga, comedic yoga, or different forms of yoga, where you synchronize your breath to calm yourself down and reset your nervous system. These are technologies that can last you until your hair is white. In addition to healthy lifestyle practices like eating real food that your cells can recognize. It's not plastic and coloring. Fortunately, our body still responds to real food. So today we're on sharing some of these leverage lifestyle practices in an effort to inspire community, as well as use the internet for a good purpose, right? So you get something out of your time on the internet. You're not just making Zuckerberg, these people trying to sell you products rich. You're actually coming away with something that's going to inspire you to get into action around the things that you say are your core values. And hopefully one of those things is health. So please feel free to follow. Please follow Ana Luisa on Instagram. Can you just tell us your Instagram is? I'll say in English because she has a beautiful accent. It's Ankh M Maat, and if you go on that page, Ankh ANKHMEMM Maat MAAT, and you should see the links to her other page. I invite you to take advantage of when she's offering classes. Take your coins and treat yourself to movement. It is therapy, learning how to synchronize your breath with your movement. So it's Ankh M Maat. The other name is Ana Luisa Wajet. See her two pages on Instagram and send her a message so that when she releases her classes or her virtual classes, you'll be able to link in with her in Brazil, right? Using the internet for a good purpose to be able to take her classes. And this is a wonderful way to support those who have, whoever is feeding you and supporting you. We want to be reciprocal. 2024, first of all, we're moving every day in 2024. That's number one. Number two, who's your circle of influence? The 5 people who you spend the most time with, right? Are they challenging you to be fitter, to get your economics together? Are you in the garden together? Check your circle of influence. So this is another way that you can increase your circle of influence and learn something, and also reciprocate to those that are feeding you something beyond just the superficial. So please give her a follow over on Instagram. So is there anything else that you wanted to share today? I know we can probably go on forever, but I want to be respectful of your time. Was there anything else you'd like to share with us about life in Brazil? What can I look forward to when I come to visit you?
Oh,
What can I look forward to when I come over to your place when I come to visit you?
here I live in a rural city, and we have a lot of nature. We have forests, we have waterfalls, beautiful beaches. beautiful ocean. So you can enjoy, girl. You can enjoy. We have a lot of traditional parties, a lot of traditional rituals, spiritual rituals. You know that Brazil is the biggest diaspora out of Africa. So we have a
Yes.
very strong African an- ancestry.
Ancestry, yes.
And but we are a warrior people, you know, because life ain't easy down
Mm.
here in
Mm-hmm.
the South America, but we keep uh, struggling and we keep happy.
Yes, yes,
That's
definitely.
one important thing about Brazilians, about Black people born in Brazil. We have this happiness, we have this axé, we have this joy, energy, apesar de, even though life ain't easy down here, we keep smiling, we keep happy, we keep dancing, we keep dancing our samba, we keep
Mm.
playing our capoeira. And one thing that I really want to say after I go is that we need to fight for our freedom. That's why I am capoeira. You know, we need to fight for our freedom, and this must be something holistic. So we need land, Black people around the world. We need land. You know, we need to have access to the resources. We need to have access to spring water. We need to have access to land. We need to have access to all the resources. We need to build community. We need human resources so we can grow food for a whole community, you know, and that's not impossible. Many people think that this is impossible, but this is not impossible. Once you make one movement towards this real plan, you know, you're gonna see that it's not impossible. And that this is something that we must do in order to survive and in order to see the next generation um, living a good way of life. You know, maybe we won't see, but if we work today, we can assure that next generation will. You know, so let's get land, let's plant our own food, let's guarantee the basic resources for our communities. You know, and if little groups do that, we can be big, you know. Here in Brazil, we have the inspiration and the example of the quilombos. You know, the
Yes.
quilombos.
So I learned about quilombos through
So,
capoeira.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have this inspiration. Until nowadays, there is a lot of quilombos that are living, that are fighting for their own freedom, you know.
Mm.
The quilombos, since the slavery times when Black people run out of the slavery system and created their own communities, like in the United States, you had the Maroons, and I know that in other diasporas we have these different experience, but we are talking about the biggest diaspora out of Africa.
Which is
So until
Brazil.
nowadays, we have many communities fighting for their own freedom, and they inspire the whole community around the country. You know, even though if you are not from a Quilombo, you fight together with Quilombo. Your friends are from the Quilombo, you know.
Mm.
So that's it. That's my message. We need land, we need resources, you know, and we need to do a whole holistic movement, starting from inside, from within, from inside yourself, you know.
Mm.
So, in order for you to do that, you can call the knowledge of the ancestors. You can get this ancestors' technology. You know, you can approach things that were created thinking about your black body, your experience of post-slavery trauma, like kinetic yoga. That is something that was made thinking Master Easton created his method, yoga skills method, thinking about the black body, the black experience, um, thinking about the post-traumatic, uh, the post-slavery trauma, you know. So you can approach capoeira, you can approach African dance. There's so many tools that can um, guide you towards your path for your own freedom, but never stop the fight. Never stop the fight. We need to keep fighting for our freedom. That's my message. The fight.
Thank you. Also, just as you were speaking about that, I think, especially in today's times, I think it's very easy for people to feel isolated and feel overwhelmed. So they feel like, what's the use or why try? So you just wind up making the TV and some snacks your boyfriend, and you just sit in front of the TV and like, oh well, and depression. When we could be having a lot of fun and a lot of movement, with movement and with dance and with the garden. That's why I cannot say enough about these three lifestyle practices. I would also say that again, part of this vision I have in my head, do you know who Madam C.J. Walker is? You ever heard of Madam C.J. Walker? You ever hear of her?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's the first black woman millionaire, right? African American. Now she
the
actually
women that make stuff for the hair.
Yeah. So she did perms and stuff like that. Though I think if you take the principle of her entrepreneurship, right? Because kind of what Avon and Mary Kay and all, she did that on her own, and she did it with other women, marketing whatever those products were that were made by them for them to each other. And so she not only became a millionaire, but she empowered other women in terms of business practices and learning how to pool their money, right? In addition to making themselves feel better for what it's worth, right? I think the principle of what she did is very, very important because economics, a system of economics is very, very important. And when you consider how much we go to make ourselves feel better, let me not say wrong, I would say for me, ineffective. Ineffective. So no diss to you, but if I'm putting your children through college, what about me? So that's a very important core principle for me is how I'm choosing to invest my economics. So I think many, many years ago, I think I just kept wiping stuff off the list, which I figured were not important to me. For example, when I first got my first good corporate job, I spent so much money on clothes. Like I even went into debt or for clothes but if I'm honest, it comes from feeling deprived or like you're missing out on something. So I bought so much clothes and stuff, and all of that stuff went into the garbage. So today when I look at a lot of YouTube, when I look at, and we know how to rock hair and style, whether it's perm, the straight or natural. Well, you look at the average YouTuber that is marketing to us, they are in a room, like a whole room of clothes and perfumes and stuff. And to me, I'll be honest, I find that stuff is stressful. It's too stressful. And I like nice things. But I found, especially when I was looking to travel and to live abroad, I made a conscious decision to downsize, to keep downside, because I felt like a prisoner of stuff that I wasn't using, but I was holding on because it had an emotional, hold on me, or it had a memory to it. And if I would have held on to all that stuff, I would not be here. I would have not been able to travel or to afford myself other opportunities. So now it's like so natural to me now as somebody that's trained as a chef, as somebody that extern at one of the top restaurants in New York. There's a lot of things that just don't hold an importance to me. It's just not important. Health is important. I'll take health and confidence over someone's made up, ever moving goalpost of beauty. So health, I'll pay for health. I'll pay extra for the blueberries. I will put stuff in the ground, but I'd rather buy vintage clothes now because that's money I could have had land several times over with the amount of money that went in the garbage. And as you said earlier, if we think about it as a collective where women of the Afro diaspora are as a collective on the social economic scale where we are positioned, then the trajectory towards the second half of our life, with many of us not having health, all that you work for, you're going to have to turn back and give it back to these pharmaceutical companies for drugs. And you'll have lost mobility, health, sanity. You're going to have to pay for drugs to try to, superficially alter your brain chemistry. You're going to turn it right back. All you worked hard for and give it right back to them if you're not prioritizing leverage lifestyle practices. So my movement is a non-negotiable. Now, I must always have space. I'll take play space over furniture. I'll take, I'll take plants, but I need a play space so I can roll on the floor. That's a priority for me. I'll take hair that I can get wet. I can jump in and out of water. It's low maintenance. That's more of a priority than make a house. I'll take seeds for the garden and travel. So it's not that I don't like nice things, but I have rearranged in my brain what is important to me. So this is something, again, not to make anybody right or wrong, it's for each of us to assess what is important. But I would highly encourage, especially my young flowers, because in your 20s, you're not thinking that far ahead. You're just not. That's the honest. But I invite you to consider what the second half of your life is like. Like people tell you to invest here in the States. In the States, they talk about your 401k, right? Invest in your 401k for your retirement. But those companies that gave you retirement, you don't get retirement anymore. So the best, my vitality and my health is my juicer. I've been saying this, my juicer is health insurance. You need a little medical insurance. If I get hit by a car, I go to the hospital. My health insurance.
A Rasta woman told me once that I kept forever in my heart. She said to me, look that mango tree. This will be my, I don't know how to say in English, but the money you receive after you stop working.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
This will be my, my retired payment. And that's it, because here in Brazil, people are not getting retired anymore too, So that's it. I agree with you.
Yeah, so my lifestyle is my health insurance. And I don't have time to play. To be quite honest, it's a core value for me. So for me to select somebody, one of the things that I'm attracted to is that somebody, without me having to convince them, that health is a core value. Because if we're going on vacation, we're going to Brazil, I'm not pushing you around in a wheelchair. I want to go play capoeira. I'm going to see the Barrel. So, unless something happened unforeseen.
It is something about fighting for your freedom, because we live nowadays, the young people, the youth live without thinking about the time when they will get old. It's like getting old is something like nobody talks about. It's like if you get old, you're done. If you pass 40, you're done.
That's crazy.
Very, very
That's crazy. That's crazy. That to me is, that sounds.
That's crazy.
I'm like, what planet is this? This is crazy. Listen? That's the point where you're supposed to be like you're supposed to be relaxed, enjoying your time with the younger generation around you. But you got to feel ashamed and scared to get older. That means you have not invested in your health insurance. You have not invested, because if you invest, then you can feel better economically. You want to make good decisions. If you make poor decisions, it's going to affect the second half of your life. When it comes to parenting,
and the second half of your life should be your best moment. Should be when you are more wise, when you have more knowledge, when you gain more wealth, So why we change the second half of our life to live our first half in an unhealthy way? That's crazy.
It's very upside down. It's very backwards, upside down, but it's a conflict of interest. Who really has it in your best interest to give you a prescription for you to thrive? Who? The only person is really going to be you. You're the only one, because it's a conflict of interest. Because if you get very clear, then you're not a good customer. You're not going to spend your money on more and more clothes that you don't need, more makeup palettes that you don't need, more surgeries, or more solutions that give you 20. How you got a solution to give you 20 more problems? I don't want a solution that's going to give me 20 more problems. But we're not thinking that deeply. We're not thinking that deeply. So again, the beautiful thing about these leverage lifestyle practices, they have the potential to have you experience, not just affirm, and you're just mentally with words, but they have the opportunity to have you experience firsthand like joy, contentment, and fulfillment. And it's their practices you have access to. You don't have to necessarily wait for your friends or wait for other people. You can leverage the internet, your time spent on the internet, to get access to. And I'll say this too, something I figured out from a young age. I figured out if there's something I don't know, I figured out I love to read books. I remember once thinking in the library, I said, wait a minute, if I don't have money to go here to learn something, I could just go to the library and I can get in their head with a book. Mm-hmm. I invite many women to invest in yourself. 2024, invest in your movement practice, pay for real food, and get you some coaches, whether it's movement, mental health, I'm not talking about charlatans or cults. I'm not talking about that. But invest to shorten your learning curve. So, for example, it's not taking you 10 years to lose the same 15, 20 pounds. It's not that complicated. That usually means if you're not getting results, that means you have a blind spot. So I invite you to invest in yourself. You're trying to be cheap with just free information. You don't invest in yourself, or you don't reciprocate to your teachers, then you spend like 40 years stuck. If you spend 40 years stuck, if I'm going to a brain surgeon, I don't want the free brain surgeon. So with the best minds, I think that's how how a lot of elders or people that had a lot to offer were depleted, because they were trying to carry the weight of too many people, right? And sometimes I think perhaps some of the internalized self-hatred that we have is that we don't see ourselves valuable, worthy of investing in our own. You know what I'm saying? We think it's an old saying. I want to say it's called the so-and-so man's ice is colder. The Blanco, the vanilla man's ice, it's the saying, the vanilla man's ice is colder. So you don't want your ice, you want that ice because it's colder. Now, we can patronize whatever businesses reciprocate to us, but I will say these are life lessons. We do have some internalized, you can see it in the music and entertainment, that it's like the entertainment has us desensitized to our own pain, right? We make jokes about our pain. We make jokes about teasing each other. We make jokes about violence to each other, so we don't take it seriously, right? And that also spills over into our economic. It spills over into the choices that we make around our health. So, solution are these lifestyle practices that you on your own have access to. If you have the internet, you have access. If you have room for a mat, a yoga mat, you have access. And so, again, one of my initial views of you, images of you, was you doing yoga inside of your yard or your garden. That was the most beautiful view, with banana trees and the white laundry hanging in the background. But it was such a beautiful practice watching you do your. I saved that video. At the visual, because sometimes you can use the internet as a vision board, right? I like to use the internet as a vision board. Things you're looking for, if you put it on your radar, you can find it, right? So just coming across, I was like, wow. And then seeing you play the Barambah by the ocean, it looks so peaceful and fulfilling, like such good quality time spent with yourself. I usually think, okay, this is somebody I would like to have tea with. This is somebody I would like to communicate and have tea, because just those two visuals said something to me about what you value, right? And what's important to me. Just that. The laundry's in the back is a beautiful practice. I'll take that any day. I've been to some of the top gyms and worked with some of the top gyms. But that practice that you were doing on your own with like just slow presence, breathing, and grace made an impact on me. So who knew? You just turned on the camera and pressed record, right? But you never know what you're doing, how it's affecting somebody else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Social media are crazy because of that.
Well, you can, again, fire can burn or it can purify, right? But it's up to us to be very intentional about who and what we give access. If you're giving access to your purse, your panties, your pocketbook, and your psyche, you might want to just be very careful about what you're giving access to indiscriminately without thinking very deeply about it. We're going to get ready to.
Yeah, but you need to spread the message too. You need to spread your message too. So you're gonna reach whoever you need to reach.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely. I mean, again, you sharing that video, who knew? Right? Who? That's still one of my favorite videos. I have it saved in my favorites that I just press it and I look at it like, here she got all this stuff going on, her laundry and other stuff, but she came right on the garden and put her mat out there and she did her practice. So I'm like, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's not making
Let's
excuses.
Keep it real, sister.
Yes, 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 yes. So again, you all please follow Ankh M Ankh ANKHMEMN Ma'at on Instagram. Send her a message. Find out when she's having her comedic yoga and movement classes. It's such a beautiful practice. She's an educator and a yoga instructor. And today we have been sharing therapeutic lifestyle practices, looking to expand our community and leverage the internet. Leverage it, leverage it. Anything you have access to, you want to leverage the investment of your time, your energy, your focus, and attention while you're on this internet. Otherwise, you will be seduced to sleepwalk. And you turn around and 10, 15, 20 years is gone and you don't even know what happened. Right? And are you going to be prepared for the different things that are coming up? Is your body prepared? What do you need your body to do for you the next 6 months, the next year, 2 years? Last thing before we leave, let's touch on briefly on menopause. Somebody, Ujo Wajet, I think she's in the States. She just follows you. I do want to touch on menopause. So old school, you don't talk about your age, but I'm not ashamed of my age, honey. So I am on the other side of 50. I'm in my 50s, well into my 50s. Wow, I'm going to my mid 50s. And I've had habits. I have good habits that have served me. And for different things I've experienced in these last couple of years, I'm always so grateful that I have been exercising for all these years, that I have prioritized fruits and vegetables with all the different spaces on my journey. The priority, the focus always has been health because I know what's waiting for me back there. The diabetes, I don't want to take needles. My grandma, she had to take needles every day. I don't like needles. I know the obesity, the depression was waiting for me. So I have a very clear focus as to why. And I used to be a junk food junkie. Ujo Wajet says she's in Chicago. So it's very, very important to me. So now I am in a phase of life where I'm experiencing menopause. And so I'm like, it's like a shocker because I don't like to claim labels and all kind of stuff. But experiencing, differences and extreme fluctuations in my body temperature. And just because I'm eating healthy and raw food doesn't mean that you won't experience life or you won't have an accident or something. But you want your body to be able to respond to the different stuff with the panoramic or menopause or an accident. You want your body to be able to heal. You want your immune system and your gut flora able to respond. So with menopause, my sister and I talk about it all the time. She was like, I think you need to talk about it. I'm like, who am I to talk about it? But a lot of women don't talk about it. And I have my own theory on why I think a lot of women don't talk about menopause. I think there's already, especially today, a lot of shame around aging, which was never our culture. Let me be clear. That's something recent.
Yeah.
That was never, we have our issues, but that wasn't one of them. Aging, right? Because they would say black don't crack, and we do crack on the inside if we don't take care of ourselves. But we did not have an issue like this with aging. We valued the wisdom that came with getting older, right? And it wasn't that, you didn't look good just because you were old. We weren't preoccupied with that. That's something new we picked up from modern culture. I didn't even believe when somebody first told me somebody injected the caulk from the bathroom into their backside, which was something going on in the States. The first time I heard of butt implants, women were injecting the caulk for the tiles into their butt in parties. And I was like, no way, this black women, we never had an issue with our derriere, with our butts. Never, ever, ever. And now you can see online young influencers on YouTube because we follow blindly. That's part of what humans do. injecting these fillers into the face that are actually having a reverse effect and having young women in their 20s look very, very aged and destroying their bodies. And who knows what kinds of cancer this could cause. The celebrities have the money to take that stuff out, but the average young woman does not. There are also lots of young women that are doing all kinds of different things to raise money to have these procedures done or to go to countries to have it done very cheaply. So to fit in for who, for what, and then if you look in the comment section, defending it in the comment section. So it is really the blind leading the blind out here. And I invite young women. Maybe sometimes you feel like you have to go along to get along because you may not have other women in your circle, or young women in your circle that are interested in maximizing their natural features and their natural health. So that's another reason why I think it's very important to have these conversations, because sometimes you might feel alone in wanting to be fit, or into wanting to garden, or into wanting to do yoga, or and enjoying your small breasts. I just want my breasts to be healthy. I just want them tumor and growth free, right? Or to know, why are you fixated on just the body part? Your body is going to be attractive if you're healthy and you have a regular daily movement practice, which you can do from home, right? So again, this is part of the reason for us to have this conversation. I'm looking forward to many more conversations. I am in menopause, and if I wasn't eating healthy, I don't know what I would do, because I don't want to be dependent on medications, not for diabetes, not for menopause, not for it's actually extremely expensive. The prices are not going down. Prices for this to be a legal drug addict are not going down. Understanding how to use cucumber and how to use cilantro and culantro, how to grow red raspberry leaf inside of your yard. Who's talking about this stuff in a way that's accessible?
Nobody's talking. And to me, it's very important to have women who are older than me talking about it openly, because I'm not on menopause, but I am. I am on that path.
And it's the second half of your life.
It's not that far.
Well, here's the other thing. It's the second half of your life, right? I'm very big on education. It's part of, I've seen a lot of people suffer, but also being in different spaces in holistic health and also in fitness. I see so much suffering that's part of what has helped me transition to be like, that was tasting good, but this we're gonna have to break up like an abusive relationship, because you're fine, you taste good, but you're giving me black eyes and a cough colon, and I don't want to have surgery. So that's what has also made me very creative with food for decades, because I was like, I can't, if I wanted to, I can't eat that because I don't want to suffer. Nothing, it doesn't taste that good. That means I got to be creative with my fresh, healthy foods. I don't want to be on a whole.
Yeah, and there is one thing that we need to have in mind is that our I don't know how to say in English, but palatar, the way we taste things.
You talking about your palate?
Totally.
Your palate?
Huh?
Your taste for food? Are you saying your palate?
Yeah, I'm talking about, I don't know, paladar. We say paladar to the skill that of the body to taste. One of the five senses. One of them, paladar. So our paladar, our possibility to taste is very addicted to those flavors that the big industry created. So sometimes we feel, oh, this tastes so good, but if you allow your own paladar, your own taste to discover other flavors, maybe you're gonna realize that flavor was not that good, or that flavor is good, but there is a whole other flavors that are just good as your old habits that you want to change. So this is something very important to re-educate the way we taste stuff.
100%. if I had known about the way that I eat now as a child, I would have been straight like fresh pineapple, fresh mango. We used to eat these little candies in New York called now laters. Then I taste a fresh pineapple. There's no comparison. Or in the States, a lot of the fruit is not ripe. Like let's say like the papaya it tastes like I don't you don't like papaya, but that's because you haven't tasted it right. When you taste the ripe papaya, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so delicious. So again, we get in like the cheap substitutes or fruits where the it's because it's not ripe, the sugars haven't developed in it. So it tastes like cardboard. But when you taste mangosteen, oh my gosh, mangosteen, there's some flavors here.
I love it.
Listen. With prices, we're like, don't you miss this? Don't you miss that? I feel like I'm not missing nothing. Oh my God. I tasted some in mango season. It's got to be like 30 plus different varieties of mango. I could eat. Now I'll tell you, that's my thing is mangoes and avocado in May. That's my birthday season. I'm thinking I've eaten over 30 varieties of mango. Like if you would have stick me, I think mango juice would pop out. But it's so fragrant and delicious. Listen, there's a couple of trees near me that the mango, you pull it off the tree, if the sun it's heated it. So it tastes like a hot pie, fruit pie right off the tree. When you bite into it, it's still hot because the sun has been on the mango and the mango sap is like dripping out of listen, there's some stuff that is so delicious. To me, the other junk food doesn't compare. And so, as somebody that was addicted to junk food, I feel like my food tastes so much better. Plus, it has fresh fiber and water. So you couldn't pay me to go back. You couldn't pay me to go back on my hair. What could be better than this is easy breezy, right? You couldn't pay me to go back to food that doesn't love me back, like an abusive relationship. You couldn't pay me. And then the garden, I would call the garden is a place of relaxation, right? Where even without you trying, just by nature of you going out into nature on a regular basis is a perfect way to de-stress. And back on the note of menopause, many women don't realize that when we go into menopause, many women don't. Do you know you're more likely to experience stroke as well as dementia? Dementia in your menopause. So, in the first, there's a window in menopause, like the first, I think they say 5 to 7 years of menopause. They call it a window of opportunity. So, if you hadn't already made lifestyle changes, right? Some people will choose to go on hormone replacement therapy or to go a natural route or a combination of the two. But if you don't make a decision to really upgrade your consumption patterns and exercise and your lifestyle and getting sun on your skin, you are likely, so much more likely to experience a stroke or dementia, being able to lose your cognitive ability. This is not discussed, and as a young woman, this is not on your radar. If nobody discussed, in addition to the physical discomfort of your body, feel like it's cold outside, but you feel like it's 100 degrees. That's extremely uncomfortable. It can make you feel like you're going mad because it is so uncomfortable. Then you're also at risk for increased risk for osteoporosis. So if you haven't been, is that? I think I see Esther, one of my first African dance teachers. That's crazy. Hey, greetings! And one of the best African dance teachers on the planet. Hey, she's still dancing to this day. That's what I'm saying. This was around my godparents. But again, if you have not been making the consistent investment of doing strength training so that you have dense bones, then you are more likely to have frail bones. And if you trip and fall, most women, when we have a fall and hip fracture, our lifespan drops as well as our quality of life, right? Hey, greetings. So these things are important. This is not something, you wait for the doctor to give you a diagnosis, now I'm going to start exercising. If you plan on being a parent, if you plan on having health and vitality, being injury free, you want to be making investments just like your 401k, your 401k investment plan or retirement plan years before, because it takes a long time to develop muscle, to develop balance. Many people don't think about balance. All these things you need your body to be able to do, and you don't notice certain things leaving you. For example, your ability to grip, right? Your grip strength is related to your vitality. The health of your womb and your reproductive organs is related to your vitality. So if you're listening to this popular music and you are allowing what is not respectful and also caring to your womb, you're giving entrance to anything to your womb is like suicide. There's not supposed to be anything rough inside of your womb. I can think of numerous women. That have to have a piece of plastic inserted into the womb area to hold the womb so it doesn't fall through when you go to the toilet. Nobody's talking about this stuff. Where your womb can start falling through because the integrity of your womb, of those muscles, is lax. You never thought of doing Kegels. You never thought about too much rough, intimate relations. And so your womb starts falling through. I know of a woman, she was going to the toilet and her womb was coming through. Nobody's talking about this stuff. So your womb is sacred. I know everybody's encouraging you to just do the free for all, but following these strangers on the internet is going to have catastrophic. It's going to have catastrophic event. I'll give you one other fact, and I'm going to let it go so you go. So, again, I'm a researcher. The prevalence of what's called congenital syphilis. I'm going to name it one of the STDs. Yeah, I know what syphilis is, right? Congenital, meaning that it's going to be passed from the mother to the infant. It was almost eradicated at the turn of the century. The rate of syphilis, congenital syphilis, has gone up amongst the general population, in particular indigenous peoples, Alaskan peoples, but the two groups that have it the highest are Blacks and Hispanics. Catch the number, 755%. 755% increase, particularly amongst Black and Hispanic parents. Did you hear me? Parents. So if that's 755%, people are not talking about their diagnoses and all of this following social media, the instructions from this music to just have a free for all with your reproductive organs like it doesn't matter. And I would dare say that can cause a lot of depression and shame, which leads women to make even more poor decisions. And I'm just going to leave that right there. Right? Why these kinds of communications are so beneficial to the next generation, because some of the decisions you're making are going to alter your life, taking bad advice, ill-informed advice from fantasy personalities on the internet. It's deadly. It's really deadly, not only to yourself, it's going to lead to a lot of suffering, as well as the next generation is not getting a good head start, right? Because of poor and uninformed decisions. So again, that's part of my reason for having this inaugural conversation, and I feel so blessed to have Ana Luisa Wajet on here giving us her time. Please, I invite you to support people that pour into you when you're getting value. Go and find out how you can support her classes or whatever it is that she's up to. Support those that are giving you something back rather than a lot of feel-good talk or people that are looking to take your money and give you bad advice. Please support those that pour into you, so they'll still be there when you're looking for them. Rosemary Turner, I also feel that people aren't interested in gardening, yet I want to make a business out of helping people have gardens in their homes, but no one wants it. That's what it seems like. Well, that's what it seems like. The people that are interested in gardening, you may not be hearing from them because they're somewhere in the garden, but hello, she's here. They exist. She also said, what can people do about food deserts and food insecurities when many people don't want to garden? Well, that kind of answered the question. Again, that's where the technology has the answers built in. If you don't want to garden, you don't want to eat. You don't work, you don't eat. So that's the cooperation. You got to put your hands in the soil. If you're only dependent on the supermarket, then when stuff goes down, you kind of in trouble. But if you are resourceful, there are community gardens everywhere, or start one. There's even land inside the cities that's not being used. All of this stuff I found out so much information by being a part of a community gardening group inside Brooklyn, New York. Shout out to the Village House, a couple from the food co-op that opened up their home to other, Black folks that were interested in gardening. But yeah, I hope you all got some value out of today. Again, please go follow Ankh M. Maat, Anna Louisa Wajet, but her Instagram is Ankh, ANKMEMM, Maat, MAAT, on Instagram. Follow the link so you can find out where her Kemetic classes are, and you get the chance, you get the opportunity to take Kemetic yoga in Portuguese. Come on now. So we have to share and really work 2024 to cultivate your network. Cultivate your network, because I know there's going to be a lot of things coming up. And I'm not open to everyone when it comes to there are some women coming down. Again, this will be, I think, the third time. So women are coming down to visit me in Central America. So I don't talk about it a lot online. Why? Because there's too much riffraff online. I'm not here for the riffraff, right? Your focus and your intention, your motivation and inspiration is a valuable currency. It's a valuable currency. So link up. Will the replay for this live stream be available? I sure hope so, because we did a whole lot of powwowing and connecting on here. So it should be. I'm going to save it. So it should be available. Any final words, Lisa?
I need to go.
Yes, we've been on here for a while.
My final words are, Dua, thank you very much for the communication. Thank you very much for sharing so much wisdom from your precious womb. I'm very happy to be here and to listen to you and talk to you. It was a great pleasure to me. And my last words are, keep the fight for land, keep the fight for the resources, keep the fight for creating new realities where we can live natural, where we can be us, where we can be more free. That's free.
Yeah.
And I'll be here. I'll be down here.
Yes, we're done. Yes, as she said too. Yeah, a lot of work to do, and we need to be healthy in order to be able to do that. It's a lot. There's a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you that I go underground with, because there's too much riffraff online. But she said something very key about land and the future. So if there's an emergency, or you're gonna be grabbing your makeup palettes and your weave or whatever and all your clothes, so to be thinking of land, again, priorities and choices. So link up, support, make those healthy connections, support Ankh and Maat online, and we will see you soon. We're definitely going to save this replay for other folks to catch. Obrigada.
Yeah.
So grateful to you.
Ciao.
We'll see you soon. Ciao.
Ciao, Preta.
Ciao, Preta. Oh, wow. So thank you all. Hope you're able to hear. Hopefully you'll be able to catch the replay over on Body-Culinary on Instagram. So some people are frustrated. I said this and that. Sometimes I am wary of the internet, the random energies. Hopefully you're able to catch this morning's movement practice. For 2024, we are moving every single day, period. So download your positive accountability calendar. I like to come together around a purpose. So if it's around movement, if it's around fruits and vegetables, food security, and spending good quality time inside the garden and fresh fruits and vegetables, and travel, those are the things I'm interested in. So hopefully your interactions and your relationships this year and moving forward are reciprocal. Even if you're on the internet, hopefully you're getting something back, right? For the investment, the valuable investment of your time, your energy, and your attention. Someone said to me many years ago, you can lose your motivation so easily in gossip. And we may not think of scrolling as a form of gossip, but it's enticing. I'm not immune. I'm conscious and aware. You can be enticed and sucked in on this internet. And before you know it, you've lost hours of time when you could have had your movement practice. You could have started your garden. You could have been having a great, beautiful, relaxing time with some quality people. That is going to require some investment. So say yes to reciprocal relationships and not just keyboard warriors who don't invest their time, their energies, or their resources, who are just floating around like a ghost aimlessly on the internet. That's not my thing. Rosemary on BODYCULINARY. Thank you. And guest speaker. Yes, that was Aunt Emma Otto, Ana Luisa Wajet. She's a comedic yoga teacher, and she's also an educator in Bahia in Brazil. So this is we'll see if we can post this up. This is my inaugural of the Afro Flower podcast, right? Because it's important. I am that flower, and so are you. And it is important to see ourselves projected out into the world. And I think it's important for us to have something to look forward to. So all you have to look forward to is not just a bunch of snacks, right, and the TV, right? Because we don't realize many of us are becoming complacent and the energy stagnant and kind of deadened. So fortunately, these leverage lifestyle practices, these therapeutic lifestyle practices, you have access to them. Last thing, garden/nature therapy, a daily personal movement practice, and peaceful consumption, right? Food that demonstrates that it loves you back. So enjoy the replay. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can see Ana Luisa's face. Follow BODYCULINARY on social media, on TikTok and on Instagram. I'll check in for when it's important and when it's beneficial and I have something to offer. Create a great rest of the day on purpose. Like, comment, respectfully subscribe, and all that jazz. And I will see you soon. Shout out Rosemary Tara, W, Celine, Carolyn Shepherd. Yes, to give you all a warm shout out, and I'll see you soon.